We'll go ahead and get started with an invocation from Reverend Brock Patterson from Longboat Island Chapel, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Bearden. Please rise if you are able.
Let us pray. Gracious and Heavenly God, we give you great thanks this day. And we thank you, Lord, for the past few days and this past week and all the many things that you have already done for us and the ways that you've cared for us. And Lord, we ask that you forgive us for those times that we forget and for the times that we only focus on the difficult and the challenges. Lord, you have blessed us. And Lord, you have blessed us so much by men and women who serve our community, many of whom, Lord, are gathered here today. We ask your blessings upon all of the men and women who serve in our fire rescue departments, in our police departments, and medical personnel, Lord. We ask your blessings upon them and their families as well as they care for us. And Lord, we ask your blessings upon all of the men and women who are serving in our armed forces wherever they may be. And especially, Lord, those who may be in harm's way, we ask your blessings of safety and protection upon them and upon their families as well. And we ask for safe passage for them to return home. Lord, we thank you for the glory of this day. Fill us with wisdom so that we can do the very best that we can do in your service. We pray this in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated if you can. Administrator Bishop, can you please provide what are the updates for the meeting today?
Yes, Mr. Chair. All updates were published with the online agenda. Additional public comments were received after publishing the generic public comments and item 46, Bishop Animal Kennels.
Thank you, sir. If you'll allow me to deviate just for a brief moment, I wanted to recognize the passing of former County Commissioner Ken Burton Sr. on last month. Ken Burton served from 1966 when he was first appointed by the governor until 1975. His work was integral in shaping much of what we do and how Manatee County functions and operates today. You'll recognize a lot of his impacts. He played a pivotal role in building the county's core infrastructure, centralizing the sewer systems from a community that used to rely on wells and septic. He developed and served on a board of 5 at the time to work to develop Lake Manatee, established Seaport Manatee, and created the Bradenton Area Convention Center, then known as a Civic Center, and played a key role in centralizing the county's library system, allowing it to span from the island to all the way to Lakewood Ranch and beyond. He was also deeply committed to his community life, supporting local schools, preserving historic sites like the old Palmetto Cemetery, and helped to found the North River News outlet in Palmetto. He's survived by his 2 sons, Ken Burton Sr., Ken Burton Jr., the tax collector, Jeff Burton, his second wife, and many more. If you all would join me in a moment of silence, please. Appreciate it. Thank you all very much. I appreciate that. All right. First, before we get to the proclamations today, I'd like a motion to approve the proclamations. That's a motion by Commissioner Ballard, seconded by Commissioner Ron. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All right. We'll begin with the presentation first of the Team Member of the Month Award for May.
Well, don't everybody move at once, come on.
And Commissioner McCann is on, just for awareness.
Good morning, Board, County Attorney, Chad Butso, Public Works. So we have a great opportunity here today to recognize just what I call your wonderful team member. I mean, we all know that the people behind us as directors are the ones that actually get the work done. But in our stormwater group, we have taken on over the past, especially since the years of 2017 and 2018, and now we've had some more flooding here. These guys are doing a ton of field inspections and visiting lots of ponds and other people's ponds because they also investigate every concern that comes in for the most part that isn't just a direct maintenance thing. Should we be doing this? Is this something there? My neighbor did this or that. So they can certainly find themselves in the myriad of a lot of things, but with civility and ethics, Chris Zitzo does a wonderful job. And I want to just stress the idea of, I may have even put it on the application to review my agreement that he's deserving of this award was, I wish I had 20 of him, because if you ever deal with the 80-20 rule where 20% of your people may use 80% of your time, Chris uses 0% of a supervisor's time. That maturity that he brings to the workforce, his past military experience, just is given a job and performs it at a high level. I can't say much more than that for the type of person that Chris is. I'll leave Tom to speak a little bit more, but one of the very, very deserving mature employees that we have, team member of Manatee County. Tom?
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chair, fellow commissioners, county attorney, county administrator. Chris Zitzo, he is to me, a model employee of this county. Always does the task at hand, always reacts as quickly and as promptly as he possibly can to any assignment. His job duties take him everywhere in this county. We have rain and stream gauge stations that are anywhere from Key Royale to Clay Gully Road to Wauchula Road to Buckeye Road. So that just gives you an idea of the coverage of what his job, his assignments entail, as far as inspecting, as far as maintenance, and ensuring that those rain and stream gauge stations that we rely on in this county to monitor for rainfall accumulation and stages are active when we need them the most. So that being said, Chris has served this county for 10 years. He also served in the Marine Corps and in the Air Force Reserve. He served in Afghanistan, and he received the Meritorious Medal and the Air Force Commendation Medal. And as Chad stated, he always accomplishes those tasks. He has very little questions. He gets the job done. So with that said, I'm glad to be here today to honor and to award the Team Member of the Month award to Chris Zitzo. Thank you.
I'd just like to thank my leadership who mentored me in during my county job. I'd like to thank my team members, Darren, Mark, Ken, especially Ken. Ken's the one that nominated me. And I'm just glad to work for Manatee County. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. We greatly appreciate your service and really your team's service to our community. Anytime people have an issue 9 times out of 10 or 8 times out of 10, it's usually Public Works. There are boots on the ground, filling in the potholes, working with property maintenance, cleaning ditches, and many more things to come, many more things in the county. So thank you very much. It's well deserved. Congratulations, sir. All right. We'll begin with the proclamations, first with ALS Awareness Month.
Oh, you gave me 2. All right. We can be signed by the chairman.
All right. Do I have anybody here to accept the proclamation? All right, then I will just read it. Whereas amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease, is a progressive and fatal neurodegenerative disease that affects nerve cells in the brain and spinal cord, ultimately robbing individuals of the ability to move, speak, and breathe. And whereas the exact causes of ALS remain unknown, there is currently no cure, and certain populations, including military veterans, face a higher risk of developing and dying from the disease. And whereas individuals living with ALS require access to comprehensive care, including advanced therapies, assistive technologies, and supportive services to maintain dignity and quality of life. And whereas organizations like the ALS Association and local foundations work tirelessly to provide care, support families, and advance research toward effective treatments. And whereas Amyotrophic Lateral Sclerosis Awareness Month raises public awareness, recognizes the impact on individuals and families, and supports efforts to find a cure. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Manatee County, Florida, that May 2026 shall be known, designated, and set aside as Amyotrophic Lateral Sclerosis, ALS, Awareness Month in Manatee County, Florida, adopted with a quorum present and voting this Tuesday, May 5th, 2026, Board of County Commissioners, and it's signed by our chair, Tal Sadiq. This proclamation is actually really close to my heart this year. I have a friend from high school who I graduated with who died at 37 years old, leaving two very young sons of this disease, a very aggressive variant. And so she progressed with the disease very, very quickly, died within a year, and was a very, very sad situation for the community and for her family. And so I'm proud to read that proclamation and raise some awareness.
Thank you, Commissioner. And while you're up there, I also have you for the National Drug Court and Opioid and Stimulant Use Disorder Awareness Month.
Wonderful.
Right there. Oh, there you go.
Come on up, guys. So I have the absolute privilege of reading this proclamation today for Opioid and Stimulant Disorder Awareness Month. This one has also been very close to my heart. I think I've had the privilege every year that I've been a commissioner to read this proclamation, and it is one of my very favorites every year because the work that Drug Court does to help individuals struggling with this disorder is absolutely amazing. It's one of the best investments that we make at the county to take people who are struggling with substance abuse and help build them into productive citizens. So thank you. Whereas 2026 marks the 29th anniversary of Manatee County Treatment Court. What began as a standalone drug court now includes a veterans treatment court and a healthcare court, providing opportunity to more residents of Manatee County. Whereas, since 1997, the Manatee County Treatment Court has more than 1,700 graduates who demonstrate that the Manatee County Treatment Court, with its 81% success rate, which is amazing, has significantly improved substance abuse treatment outcomes and reduced drug abuse and related crime. And whereas, the treatment court has reduced drug abuse and related crime and has done so with less expense than any other justice strategy. Fewer than 20% of Manatee County Treatment Court graduates recidivate, and there have been 85 drug-free babies born during this time. And whereas the drug court movement has grown from 12 original courts in 1994 to a national organization of 3,057 operational drug courts and 3,882 problem-solving courts as of December of 2020. And whereas Tuesday, May 5th, 2026 is designated as the day Manatee County Treatment Court celebrates National Drug Court Month and the promise of recovery and restored hope to treatment court graduates and their families. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Manatee County, Florida, that May 2026 shall be known, designated, and set aside as National Drug Court and Opioid and Stimulant Use Disorder Awareness Month in Manatee County, Florida, adopted with a quorum present and voting this Tuesday, May 5th, 2026. Board of County Commissioners, Manatee County, Florida, signed by our chair, Tal Sadiq.
Thank you so much.
Good morning, everybody. I would like to thank the Board of County Commissioners for your support for our treatment courts. As we said, we began with just a drug court. Now we have a healthcare court for mental health people and a veterans treatment court for vets. And actually from that, we've expanded to other courts that are very similar, problem-solving courts. So I want to thank you because if it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't be able to do the things we do. And what we really want to let you know is that your money is actually an investment in the community, because I have behind me some graduates right now, people who've been in the program, who graduated, who are giving back to the community. I also have with me my supervisor, Kendra. She's our operations manager for our criminal justice. So I'd like for her to give a word right now as well. So.
Thank you. Good morning, and thank you to the board for your recognition this morning of this. So what's most important is that on behalf of the 12th Judicial Circuit Court, we do really appreciate the continued partnership and support of the treatment courts in general here in Manatee County. One of the most important things about drug court specifically is that it not only reduces the recidivism that we see, but also the most important piece is the impact that it has on so many lives and the families that are rebuilding as those particular clients are going through their path to recovery. And most importantly, too, I would like to thank Alfred and the entire team for the endless amount of work and hours that they put into helping these individuals. There's a lot of transference trauma that they endure during this, and they give back so much to not only to, this program, but also to the community. So again, thank you so much for your support, and specifically Commissioner Ballard, thank you for everything that you are doing and your passion behind supporting certain projects that are underway. Thank you.
As I stated earlier, I have some graduates with us, and I'd like to give them an opportunity to just tell you what their lives have been like and what drug court has done for you. James, come up.
Good morning. My name is James Litwin. I'm a drug court graduate as of August 2024. Prior to drug court, for 9 or 10 years, I was on the streets here in Bradenton. Not doing any good to the community. Multiple hospitalized resuscitations, and brought me to the point of just enough was enough. After the drug court program, I was placed into a recovery home, and I'm now able to provide insight and help to others going through that program. I am the program director for the recovery home. And I'm just able to give back to the community and tell my story. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is James Riley. I got into drug court with no hope and no direction in my life, and by drug court itself giving me the accountability and the structure I needed, as well as my counselor being there for me, as well as other people in drug court that helped me along the way. I was able to change my life around, and I'm now I started a business, Old Faithful Home Improvement Services, with someone. I'm in my community a lot. I go to a lot of meetings. I try to help people, and it completely changed my life by the structure and accountability that drug court gave me. Thank you.
I have Regina Bridges here. She comes almost every year since she's graduated. So.
Good morning. So I have been coming here every year. This is actually kind of like getting the coin for me. It's super important since I started. I have been flying over even to make sure the attendance here is important for me. And every year I'm still learning more. So I was, of course, running around in Bradenton, getting in trouble with the rest. IV drug user. Was in drug court for approximately 2 years. I also did the Mothers and Infants program, which is a combined collaboration. So I have my 15-year-old daughter, who is not here with me today. But what we don't show is all the impacts. I was thinking on my drive over here this morning that it's not just me you saved. It's not just my daughter. Now I have 2 grandkids, right? It's trickling into everything else, and that makes it so much more important. So please keep doing what you're doing. I'm out there trying to fight the good fight with the rest of us. I'm now an executive with Centerstone, and I've been working to kind of teach the community about what drug addiction is and what those impacts are. And I really appreciate you all being here. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Last night I was writing something to say this morning and I just threw that out the window, stuck in traffic this morning. As I'm taking my 9-year-old daughter who was born into drug court in 2017, my first round. I'm sitting there and all I could think of was I get to be frustrated in traffic, driving with a license that I acquired while in drug court. That was, 9 years ago. I got invited to come back into drug court in 2024. I was released from jail on January 14th. Since then, I hit the ground running, working parallel with High on Jesus, Hand Up to Victory, and at the root of it, drug court giving me the opportunity to not only change my life, but my 4 children. I have 4 kids that have all A's. They have their mother back. I now have the honor to be a mentor for drug court and share with new clients and newcomers to a program how we can have a better life through it. So thank you, Commissioner Ballard, and I just can't wait to see what's next.
I want to read something for us because one of the people that I wanted to be here today was not able to be here. His name is Jason Bennett. One of the things we also developed in the drug court program is what we call the HIT program, high intensity track. And that track is for people who normally would be headed to prison, but we give them an opportunity to do the drug court program. It's extended time, there are more responsibilities, there are more things they have to do. But in lieu of that, they get the opportunity of remaining home, getting a job, and not going to prison if they do the things that they need to do. And so Jason was the first person that we gave this opportunity to, and he did not miss a beat. And because of him, it opened the door for other people to get this opportunity. But he told me, I tried to get him to be here, but he said, hey, I'm in Tallahassee for the next 3 weeks for business, Alfred. He said, I'm terribly sorry. He said, I'll get back with you when I get home. And his wife, Ariel, was also a drug court graduate. She's not an ARNP, and she's doing well. He says, we just bought 30.53 acres in Marianna, and so we're going to be coming back next week, and we're going to be building an Airbnb and create a destiny that he said that God has placed on his heart. So I just want you guys to understand that when you fund us, you're helping people like accomplish the dreams that they've always had in their hearts. You're also creating a situation where people who normally would be on the streets causing havoc are now giving back to the community from which they came. So we just want to say thank you once again for your support. And we just want to continue to show you that your money is well spent, and we'll continue to doing the things we do so that the community can continue to thrive. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All right, next we have the Emergency Medical Services Week proclamation by Commissioner George Cruz. AMS, come on up.
Arthur? I was going to say, there's a lot of ambulance trucks up there. Expected more than 2. All right. You good? All right. Whereas Manatee County Emergency Medical Services is a vital public service for the residents and visitors of Manatee County. And whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury. And whereas Manatee County Emergency Medical Services fills healthcare gaps by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventive medicine, follow-up care, and access to telemedicine and innovative community health programs that address the unique needs of our county's residents. And whereas Manatee County's emergency medical services system consists of emergency medical technicians, paramedics, community health workers, caseworkers, a nurse practitioner, a licensed clinical social worker, support service technicians, administrative staff, educators, and an emergency physician. And whereas Manatee County Emergency Medical Services continues to demonstrate excellence in patient care and operational practices by maintaining prestigious accreditations from the Commission on Accreditation of Ambulance Services and the Commission of Accreditation of Medical Transport Systems, reflecting their commitment to the highest industry standards. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of Manatee County's emergency medical services providers by designating Emergency Medical Services Week. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Manatee County, Florida, that May 17th to 23rd, 2026 shall be known, designated, and set aside as Emergency Medical Services Week in Manatee County, Florida. Adopted with a quorum present and voting this Tuesday, May 5th, 2026, and signed by our chairman, Tal Sadiq. Thank you all very much.
Good morning. Sorry. Commissioners, County Administrator, County Attorney, Sean Dwyer, EMS Chief for Manatee County EMS. I'm truly humbled to have such an extraordinary group surrounding me today. Of the small bit of the 250 that we now have of paramedics, EMTs, and those that support us. This week's theme is improving outcomes together. And I can't think of a better way that our organization accomplishes that. The results of our work is not surprising. For those that see our teamwork and see us run calls, they are entrusting us at their most dire moment. We don't take that lightly. Our paramedics and EMTs work diligently in this community to make sure that the care that they provide is top notch. And I don't just say that openly and willy-nilly. The state standard for return of spontaneous circulation, or when we get pulses back, is 21%. The national standard is around the same. Manatee County is at 38% of return of spontaneous circulation. So that's kudos to the individuals that do the job every single day. Some other quick highlights for things that we've done this year. We've delivered 20 babies, which is pretty cool. We've also given blood 20 times this year, which is a new tool in our toolbox to help our community and those that need it the most. I am so thankful that you guys are recognizing this week for us. I'm so thankful that these individuals are here to support it. We welcome you all to come ride with us, should you be daring enough to do so. We promise we'll keep you buckled up and you'll be safe. But we are thankful that you're recognizing this week for us, and so thankful that you took the time for us today.
Jody Fisk, Public Safety Director. I really just want to say to the team behind me, you guys are amazing. I couldn't do the job that you do, and you do it so well. And the one thing I think that's really important to note about the EMS division is that they could really easily sit back and say, we're meeting and exceeding standards and we're doing great, and we're just going to maintain the status quo. But they ask, what else can we do? How can we push the envelope with the blood delivery? I'm just now seeing things coming from the federal government about grants for that, and this team has been doing it for what, a year and a half, 2 years? They're ahead. They set the standard. So thank you guys. You do all the hard work and you make me look good. So I appreciate you. But for anyone who wants to, the stations are there. Please feel free to come by, say thank you to the crews. None of us ever say no to baked goods. Food is key. But thank you so much. Thank you for the recognition. And guys, thank you for what you do. I just can't say enough about you.
Chief, I have been in a ride along. EMS staff were very accommodating, very gracious. A few years ago, someone ran a stop sign, hit my wife and I, and she's doing well. We're all well, but she sustained more severe injuries than I did, and EMS came by very quickly. I don't remember too much of it. Everything's pretty quick. but they did a fantastic job taking us over to Blake. Just very pleasant, very kind people. So thank you very much for whoever that was on that particular ride, but also thank you to all of EMS. The work you do is not, it's very important. And with that 38% recirculation rate, I was talking to some folks in the fire service about this as well. That's incredible. That's awesome. 38% that's very difficult. It reflects the level of training and effort you put into your staff. So congratulations. And I'm very happy to see this proclamation here. I have Commissioner McCann on the phone as well. Go ahead, sir. Bean is hit on mute for him.
I just want to say a week is not enough. I had the pleasure and displeasure of using your services last Sunday. And I want to tell you, your paramedics are very compassionate, caring. They did such an excellent job. I just want to say thank you to all of you. And I'll tell you, the thing is that, your services are invaluable and life-saving. Thank you.
You guys do amazing work. You are on the front lines to save Manatee County citizens. We can't thank you enough. I can't thank you enough. I know the citizens can't thank you enough for the job you guys do every single day. 20 babies, that's pretty cool. I got to ride along when I first became a commissioner, and I don't know what driving course you guys go through, but I appreciate that. When they hit the lights, I was holding on for dear life. Thank you for the job you do. Thank you for being here and with Commissioner McCann. A week is not enough for you guys. We need to recognize you guys every day for the job that you do here in Manatee County, saving lives and going out there and doing the hardest work that has to be done. The things that you guys see are just incredible that most of us will never see in our lifetime. But thank you for the job you do. We're so proud of each and every one of you, and just wanted to say that to you guys today. So thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. All right. Next, we have Small Business Week in Manatee County, read by Commissioner Mike Ron.
Come on, Chamber.
And a very special appearance by our Manatee County Chamber of Commerce.
Don't be shy. Chamber folks are acting a little shy this morning, and they're never shy. This is a great honor for me to be able to do this proclamation. Small business and small businesses are the backbone of America. They're the backbone of what we do every day. They're the backbone of the state of Florida. They're the backbone of Manatee County. Small businesses keep the economy going when the economy starts to fall. And small business owners are not only entrepreneurs, but they're inventors of what they do every day. And it's just such a great pleasure to be standing here this morning with the Manatee County Chamber folks. But let me go ahead and read the proclamation. Whereas small businesses are a cornerstone of Manatee County's economy, creating jobs, driving innovation, contributing to the unique character of our communities. And whereas small businesses play a vital role in strengthening the economy, the economic vitality and resilience of Manatee County by supporting local families, generating revenue, and fostering entrepreneurship. And whereas the dedication and perseverance of small business owners and their employees help sustain a diverse and thriving business environment throughout the county. And whereas small businesses enhance the quality of life in Manatee County by providing essential goods and services, supporting local initiatives, and investing in the communities they serve. And whereas the Manatee County Chamber, in partnership with Manatee County government, plays an important role in supporting, advocating for, and promoting small businesses across the region. Now there, let it be proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Manatee County, Florida, that May 3 through 9, 2026 shall be known and designated and set aside as Small Business Week in Manatee County, here in Manatee County, Florida. Adopted a quorum present and voting this Tuesday, May 5th, 2026, signed by our chair, Tal Sadiq. Congratulations.
Good morning. I am Justin Phillips. I'm the chairman of the board for the Manatee Chamber of Commerce this year. And I want to thank Chairman Sadiq, fellow county commissioners, county administrator, county attorney, for this important recognition of National Small Business Week. As the largest chamber in the Tampa Bay region, with over 90% of our chamber members falling into the SBA's definition of a small business, we're dedicated to supporting small businesses from every industry type. We are privileged to work with small businesses every day. They have unique needs, and we are focused on helping them grow to be even more successful. As a small business owner myself and several others that are up here, I can personally tell you that when people in our community make the decision to shop locally, it has a tremendous impact not only on our businesses, but with our families and on our lives and our team members' lives and families. It makes a huge difference, and we work hard to return that favor and partner with other people in the community. Our partnership with the county is an important asset in the chamber serving our community. And we truly encourage everyone to shop locally and make it a priority to do business locally. This truly makes our community a great place to live, work, and play. Thank you so much for this honor. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, chamber folks.
All right. At this time, we'll move on with the rest, with the consent portion of our meeting. Would anyone like to pull items from the consent agenda? All right, seeing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve consent.
I want to pull something.
Or Commissioner McCann, you like to pull something?
Yes, 30 and 31.
Okay. Let the record reflect Commissioner McCann is pulling items 30 and 31. All right. I'll accept a motion to approve consent minus items 30 and 31. All right, that's a motion by Commissioner Ron, seconded by Commissioner Ballard to approve consent minus items 30 and 31. At this time, I'll accept public comment for consent minus items 30 and 31. Anyone like to provide comment? Seeing none, I'll close public comment for consent. Nobody's on the phone. All right, you can cast your votes. And Commissioner McCann, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. All right. That passes unanimously. All right, we'll go on to citizen comment for future agenda items. You have 30 minutes. We have 30 minutes. Please state your name, county of residence, and I have a list. I'll start with Pat Simmons.
Good morning. Pat Simmons, Manatee County. Bear with me just a second, please. Okay. There are now 8 states. There used to be 9, but Indiana pulled out. Yay, Indiana. So now Florida, Alaska, Kansas, Louisiana, Missouri, Montana, South Dakota, and Texas are continuing their attack on Section 504 and integration mandate through Texas versus Kennedy lawsuit. This case targets the ability for people with disabilities to work and participate in their community and with supports that they need rather than being forced into institutions. You all have connections in Tallahassee. Please use them. I called the Attorney General's office yesterday and left a message. Florida needs to follow Indiana and pull out of this ridiculous lawsuit. They need to start supporting people with disabilities. It's not only about students and their 504 plans, it's about keeping people with disabilities out of institutions. We will not go back. We worked too hard to get the Olmstead Act passed and to get the ADA passed and to get 504 passed to turn back now. So use whatever juju and voodoo that you have to get Florida out of this and show respect for people with disabilities. And also, those seats back there, they're for people with disabilities and their caretakers or people that come with them. They're not for the general public. It's just like parking in our disabled parking spots.
Thank you, ma'am. We have Ron Nernberger next.
Good morning. My name is Ron Nernberger, Manatee County and City of Bradenton resident, and president of the Bradenton Shuffleboard Club at 1525 Ballard Park Drive, on land that was originally used for the purpose of shuffleboard and lawn bowling. As some of you may recall, I was here last year at this time looking for help from the county to build us a new shuffleboard facility. Now that the City of Bradenton has non-renewed our lease that runs out in March of 2028 and is thus forcing us to relocate. I recently met with the mayor's office, city administrator, and CPA director, Jeff Burton, as I did last year, asking for any progress being made. The mayor continues to remind us that the city is not a recreation business, but the county is. Therefore, I am hoping you will work with the city in coordinated effort for a replacement facility for the Bradenton Shuffleboard Club. As you know, our club has been a staple and institution in Bradenton for 103 years. With the thousands of people moving into this area, adding recreational opportunities available for them is imperative. Shuffleboard is just as important activity as pickleball, tennis, baseball, or horseshoes. Some $30 million are being spent on activities in our county right now. Places such as Lemco Field, GT Bray Park, Bennett Park, or Premier Sports at Lakewood Ranch are all places that have room for a facility. And there is obviously money available. The value of shuffleboard is threefold. 1, social interaction. 2, it is a sport for those who wish a more competitive nature or just for fun. It is less physically demanding, thus providing a venue for all ages. At the Bradenton Club, we host national, state, and local tournaments for over 100 years. We consistently have well over 100 members and play year-round. It is a travesty that the city would close our club after some 100 years with no replacement plan in place. It is also alarming that the county cannot find us a place with all their recent plans for recreational expansion. I hope the city and county can work together on this issue as time is running out. Please find us a place. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I have Heidi Minikheim next.
Good morning, Heidi Minikheim, Manatee County, Myakka City activist. What a beautiful morning it was to come here to wake up, get in that nice hot shower, let the water run, pour a cup of water to make some coffee, take out the nice fresh laundry out of the washing machine. But in reality, we are running out of water, which I think everybody knows. I think we've had this conversation before. Swift Mud has us in a level 3 drought, I guess. You know, we're just running out of water. As many of you know, I've spoke before that out east in Myakka City, our wells are running low. I've received many phone calls, emails, and private messages on Facebook from residents of Myakka City asking me, what do we do? And I give them all the advice, call a well company to come out and maybe lower your pump or dig you a new well. But we're in a very critical, we're critical right now. And I know that Manatee County's, their answer to this is, I think in 2030, 2032, is to pull water from the Peace River. But as you saw the news articles that the Peace River is going dry, I was recently out on the Peace River in Arcadia near the campgrounds where you can rent the canoes. Relatives of ours have a 500-acre lease and run cattle out there, so we were out there. The river is low. There was people on canoes just pulling the canoes over the sand. There's just not enough water. In Manatee County, we have over 30 golf courses that water their golf courses. Is anybody monitoring this? We have Manatee Golf Course, and that's not even the private golf courses. Manatee Golf Course, Buffalo Creek, the Preserve, the Heritage Harbor, Rosedale Golf and Country, Waterleaf, Pine Brook, IMGA, Myakka Golf Course, and Soletta. Greenfield Plantation. There's just a ton of golf courses, and they're watering their lawns all the time. Not to mention that the Sierra community, I think I've mentioned that before, coming in on Moccasin Willow Road, that has a 4.5 crystal lagoon. That's like millions of water in there. And how much, with our population for Manatee County, we're over 441,000, I believe, residents. And I think under the statistics that Swift Mud gave, I believe every residence used about 5,000 gallons a week in water. And yet we were letting future development come. We can't do this, guys. We really have to protect the residents that are here, and our wells are going dry out east. What are we to do? We're not going to accept city water. The county doesn't have money even to bring us water out east. And I think we are the telling tale signs. We have a water issue. Thank you.
All right. That's all I have for speakers signed up. I'll get to the phones in a bit. Is there anyone in person who'd like to speak? Just line up for public comment. And just a reminder, when you come up, please state your name and county of residence.
Good morning. My name is Andrew Stillman, Manatee County resident for nearly 32 years, taxpayer, and one of the people supposedly protected by the federal Constitution and the state Constitution of Florida. On July 4th, 1776, our forefathers threw off the shackles of a destructive government and stated in the Declaration of Independence, "We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal and are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men." Seems our elected officials have forgotten their number one purpose for existing is to secure our unalienable rights. Just for the record, the original phrase was life, liberty, and property. We now have allowed this group of tyrants to send pseudo-police to private people's residences and intimidate them into compliance with municipal codes that have nothing to do with private property. Just as absurd as it would be for the health department to tell you how to run your family kitchen, these people go onto private property without a warrant or permission and intimidate people with a fake badge and levy fines illegally. Every person on the BOCC has been notified of this, but they turn a blind eye to criminality for their enforcers. They ignore the fact that we spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on a property, then a county code enforcer comes along and tells you how to live. The founding fathers would be heating up the tar by now and running you all out of town. According to the State Attorney General Opinion 8370, published in 1983, never retracted, code enforcement has zero right to enter onto any property to do an inspection without a warrant or permission of the owner. Yet, under oath, the code enforcement chief stated that they never get warrants to inspect property. This board has let these people run rampant over the little guy because it brings in revenue. Notice to the board, your job is not to increase revenue. Your job is to secure unalienable rights of us. That is it. I pray to God that the voters of this county will throw out every one of you that continue to violate your oath of office. Tyranny has made its home in Manatee County, and the only thing required for evil to prevail is good people to do nothing.
Ma'am, you can come on up.
Thank you. My name is Donna Kaiser. I was here last June 20th, 2024. I did happen to, do the 10-year plan when I invested and looked for my property. It was a very rural area on Terracea, and no lights, not even street lights. Now I have an NFL stadium next to me. Even with their lights turned down low, it invades my bees, causes me, I have to listen to their venue, and it is a wedding venue. So indulge me for a second, right? Just by raising your hand. If I went to Epcot and spent the day in Germany, would you have believed that I was actually in Germany? Anybody? Well, just because you go to a farm doesn't mean it's a farm. I don't consider a quarter of an acre or a half an acre of over 5 acres of land, mostly grass that has been watering. My pond has been dry for 6 months. When I bought my property, I had to apply for agriculture exemption because it was converted to residential, ASF1. I did my research. 1 house per acre, I could live next to that. Most rural place I could find, I could live with that because I don't want all that lights. If I wanted all those lights and there are meters, I would have gone down on 41 and bought my property because it wouldn't have bothered me to have that lights. I would have expected it. I didn't expect it to be put it next to my house. My ponds, I run an agriculture operation. I have bees. I have hundreds of hives. I have cattle, which I've had to cut down because my ponds have been dry for over 6 months. And one of my wells is dry. And the Ameris came in and put in a 5-inch, 360-foot well. And since it's been in there, my ponds have been bone dry, and I've been there 24 years. I've gone through plenty of droughts. And while cleaning my property, mowing my yard, I get a letter from their attorney telling me I'm a malicious mower because my property's dry. I'm not sitting over a dry patch. My property's dry, and it's the only opportunity I had to get back there, and I can't just run over tree limbs and big, huge chunks of trees with my mower. And in my barn, I have mowers. I have a tractor. I do not have an elaborate staircase. Is this making any sense to you? Because it sure in the heck doesn't make any sense to me. We do not have the money, or we do not have the water to even keep my ponds full and maintain my agriculture operation. I'm supposed to allow a commercial business next to me? You sure have more sense than that, don't you? I mean, I'm asking. At 7 years old, my grandmother didn't have to tell me I couldn't put 3 quarts of green bean casserole in a 1-quart dish. And if the oven only holds 5 dishes, you don't put 20 in it. That's common sense. Thank you.
All right, sir, come on up.
Before I start the formal remarks, I'd just like to say that those machines out there, I did try to register on the roster. So I was registered to speak, but apparently I'm not registered to speak. So if you can look at that, try to figure out what's going on. It's not the first time it's happened. Okay, well, I wasn't too happy with my presentation 2 weeks ago about the budget and Manatee County surpluses. So this is budget presentation part 2, Mike Me and Manatee County. First off, obviously the surpluses are too high. You've had a total of $818.5 million in surplus over the last 2 years. The reality was you only needed $20.5 million in property taxes over that same time period to run a balanced budget, not the $839.4 million in property taxes that were collected. Point 2, cash reserves are too high. The unrestricted cash is $985.4 million. This is $595.4 million above what is allowed by Florida statute. Furthermore, the funds are sitting in a money market account that provide no benefit to Manatee County citizens or economy. One of the solutions is spend more or tax less, or maybe both. If you look at your CapEx over the last 3 years, it's $909.2 million. And this is against $513 million you spent in the 3 years prior to that. So I guess, is there a logistical capability to spend more than you're already spending? I would ask that question. So let's look at the other side of the equation, which is to reduce taxes. And just 4 quick recommendations. You can look at a millage cut, something that's meaningful and substantial to the county residents. You could just send out tax refunds, send checks to the taxpayers. You could increase the property exemption levels, which is a fairly easy thing to do, and I know that's being discussed in Tallahassee. And finally, you could issue a tax credit against the 2026 property tax bill. So those are 4 ideas for how you can spend less when you're running these huge, huge surpluses. As a final thought for budget year 26, I'd ask you to increase the cash allocation to our nonprofit social service agencies who are doing yeoman work preserving the social fabric of Manatee County. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'll go to the phones. Let me let Zoom populate here, though. Actually, first, anyone else in the room? All right, seeing none, I'll go to the phones when that populates. We'll start with caller 605. Just a reminder, you have 3 minutes, and state your name and county of residence before you begin.
Andrea Griffin, Manatee County. So my future agenda are going to be 3 parts. One is a conversation we've been having for some time about an America First policy for employment. And Tal, you keep telling me that we are in compliance. This has nothing to do with statute requirements. This has to do with America First, Americans being employed with Manatee County. And it sounds like we have some Visa employees, and you keep telling people that this is not happening and this is not true. And so I'm going to start presenting evidence to the contrary before this board. The other thing is online bullying. This is more of a state level that we need support from a local level. As you guys know, Storage War, Daryl Sheets, he lost his life to online bullying and you know, obviously self-harm issues. This is happening more common than not. And while we do have protections for children, we have no adult protection. And online bullying affects adults in the same manner. And it is very important. I went through 4 years of it. I've had to spend over $120,000 suing people because we do not have laws in the state of Florida that protect me. And still to this day, after $120,000, I'm still probably on the hook for another $40,000 after this. So this is a very important cause for me that we need to start bringing attention to. And lastly, the most infuriating is our wasteful spending here in Manatee County and how now our cities are saying, hey, we're not going to be paying for recreation. Go to Manatee County because they like to wastefully spend up to $112 million. That's not even including Mr. Cruz's, Commissioner Cruz's $130 million bike pass for his rich friends. So, you know, I'm getting really tired of hearing about all this money being spent, all of this money we have in silos. You guys are supposed to be Republicans, less government, less taxes, yet you guys keep charging us more and doing the same thing that Carol Whitmore's board used to do in hiding our money and not giving it back to the people. And lastly, the censorship of this board. You guys have censored Carol Ann Phelps Memorial, and we have some attorneys on this board. And I'm not going to talk about my personal commissioner that's an attorney that should know better, because we know that anything produced by AI has no copyright affiliated with it. That means that that song could have played, whether or not you had the author or not. It was clear that it was an AI music. So you guys censored our county. And you're telling me that you're America First, censoring our county.
Thank you, Andrew.
And stealing and wasting our...
I have caller 309 next.
Hello, my name is Dalton Nelson, Manatee County resident. I'm coming to you today, not on behalf of on behalf of my normal topic, which is the flooding, the other issues that we've experienced here in Manatee County, especially in District 1. We've had a lot of issues with developments around us, and I have been working very closely with different county contacts to try and rectify and get these situations addressed that these developers are doing to us. The amount of just, in my opinion, just downright, unapologetically disrespectful comments and things that have been made my way and have been proven with me walking on site with different individuals of staff towards Manatee County and their neighbors. These developers come out here to our county and they say, well, we want to be good neighbors. How many times have you had Ed Vogler or somebody like that saying, well, we want to be good neighbors. We want to be a good steward of the community. Well, every time that I've dealt with one of these communities where there's stuff wrong, there's stuff not built right, it's been factual. Every single time that I brought something up, I would say 9 times out of 10 has had a factual report made. It's had a repercussion where they had to come out and fix it. And yet when I call and I have to try and get a hold of staff to rectify the situation on their end, because it's not only a county situation, it's also Swift Mud and everything else that all tie in together, I can't get anybody to call me back. I cannot tell you how many times I have had Commissioner Aide forward an email over to county staff, and the county staff forwards it down to the person I'm already talking to. That's not the point of why that email was forwarded to you, and I'm going to say who I'm talking about. Corey Studi, Brian Parnell, the guy that took over for Evan Pilichowski, will not call me back. The inspector for Manatee County Stormwater, Scott Thompson, the head guy, he will not call me back. The fact that I, as a citizen, had to take county staff out to a site and find that there was Murify paper still on that piece of development when it was already transferred into operation stage is a downright dereliction of duty. It is wrong, and that should have been caught when he went through and did his inspection to transfer it into operation. And I can't get nobody to call me back. It's a game of forwarding emails and missed phone calls that is downright, excuse my French.
All right, your time's up. We're not tolerating that language. 445, caller, you're up.
For the record, Glenn Gadfly, Gibellina, you better start listening to the people. I mean that. They come up there week after week addressing their concerns.
Hi, caller 445. Just the audio didn't come in through. Can you we'll restart the clock. Can you start from the beginning, please?
All right, Glenn Gibellina for the record. So you better start listening to the people that come up to that podium. You haven't done it. You're not addressing their concerns. And, you need a different policy, because the current one of kicking the can down the road, not getting back to people. Previous caller, Dalton, he's practically an expert, could probably run circles around a couple of your staff there already, and you don't give him the courtesy of an email or a phone call back. I even find that with my district commissioner. And I've heard other people in other districts say, we email, we never get an email back. And that is a breach of trust. You should be listening to people who say, at least send back an automatic, hey, we got your email, we'll circle back. But you guys don't even do that. You don't think that getting back to the public or redirecting staff to get back to the public is important, you guys. Because you're too busy with the big picture. And once you start failing the small population, the people that voted you in, there's going to be consequences. Water. How many times do we have to go up there and tell you about water? And all we hear from the board is, oh, we're going to buy from Peace River. Don't worry about it. We're good to 2030. No, we're not. It's ridiculous. You got to take a step back, reevaluate everything, the water, the streets, the sewer, the density, everything. Because I've been here 30 years. This county is on the brink of ruin with traffic and aggravation. For the record, Glenn Gadfly, Jiblinga. Straighten your act out.
All right, that concludes public comment. Anyone else, we'll get to you at the end of the meeting. All right, a couple things. Shuffleboard, I don't see the gentleman here, but I already addressed his comments offline. We already looked at Bray, couldn't accommodate it. So, I think our staff have done the best we can, but it's just not something that's on any of the plans for facility improvements at this time. As far as the questions about water, we get this a lot. I get it. It's because we see a lot of plan development applications come through to us. But I'll just remind the public that you have an opportunity. We don't regulate nor control how water permits are handled, who gets how much water, any one party gets to draw from the aquifer or others. So I would encourage you to go to the Southwest Florida Water Management District, provide public comment there. I just looked at their calendar. They actually have a governor's board meeting on the 19th. There's 2 meetings today, advisory committees. They're virtual. You can join there. But I think this board is working very hard, recognizing, yes, there's a drought. Yes, it's temporary. But we've also worked closely to understand some of the needs, especially in the fast-growing community, and slowing the pace of development. I think this year we're at close to 3,000 units denied so far. For various reasons. So people tend to forget about that, but it's important to highlight that. We are working hard with it, but water is just not something that we regulate at the end of the day. Not sure where the Peace River information is coming from. This board has talked at length about not trying to spend money to connect to Peace River because of how expensive it is, but we are part of the co-op. It's an option, not something that's financially feasible. Other than that, I'll just remind the public that, a lot of yelling today, cursing. We have a code of conduct. No one on this board is disrespecting the public. You all get heard, especially from people who say they're not being heard. But let's just keep it civil, please. Let's be mindful of the clapping and certainly comments online, like some of the language here today. We're trying to make sure we work hard and address your concerns as best we can. Doesn't always mean we get to a resolution. We can agree to disagree. But staff are working very hard at that, and it's not appropriate to disrespect them in that manner. I'll move to items pulled from consent. Item 30, Commissioner McCann. Can we switch to the panelist view there on Zoom?
Yes, on item 30, I only have one question. I don't have any problem. It looks to me like they're trying to give us the park minus some easements, but I question, why would we pay their attorney's fee?
Peter Morrow, Property Acquisition Division Manager. This was a request made by the city and included as part of this letter of agreement. The letter agreement is presented to you all to approve or not approve. So that certainly would be a decision you all make whether you approve of that or not, but that was a request the city made, so we did put it in there.
And would it be a deal breaker if we took it out?
That would be something I'd have to ask the city.
Okay, well, that's something I'd like you to ask the city because, $9,500 for them to do their work. We're doing similar work with it. This has been in progress for how long? I mean, this is started in 1978. I really think that, again, why would we pay their attorney's fees, to do work so that they can convey the land to us? That doesn't make sense. They're not paying our attorney's fees. And, I don't see where paying their attorney's fees on this would serve a pertinent public interest.
Was that all, Commissioner McCann?
That's all.
All right. Thank you, sir. I'll just briefly comment here. There are some costs that I think are worth the reimbursement. The city did agree to and completed, I'm just looking at the bullet point here, they prepared a survey, legal description, sketches for the easements and reservations that they're talking about that are referenced in this particular application. So it's $9,500. That's work that we would have had to perform and pay for anyways. And so they were able to do it. I don't see a particular problem with that reimbursement.
Are those the easements that they're going to keep?
Yes.
Okay, well, then they're doing work for themselves. They're not necessarily doing it for us.
Sure. Well, the easements also help us identify what's county property, county owned, so that we don't encroach on their easements. I think we mutually benefit from
But
that.
why would you pay $9,500 to attorneys who not encroach on their easements, which they are drawing?
Okay. Any other discussion, comments?
Just
Commissioner Cruz.
look, this doesn't expire until 2028, correct?
Yes, sir.
So this doesn't have to be today. Does it kill us to table this and go back and try to waive the attorney fees to appease Commissioner McCann?
No, I mean, I certainly can approach the city and present this letter back to them with those changes to see if their city council agrees.
So why don't we do that? So at least we're working off of final information instead of just ignoring Commissioner McCann's seemingly simple request that we have time for. But then at least we can come back next meeting or the meeting after or whenever it is before 2028 and say, we've discussed this, we've advocated to try to get rid of the attorney fees. They've said yes, they've said no, but at least we're working off of fact instead of assumption of what the final terms were.
Sure. I'll take any motions to direct staff
I'll make the motion
appropriately.
to table.
Second.
Okay. I have a motion by Commissioner McCann to table the execution of a non-binding agreement with the City of Bradenton for G2 Bray, seconded by Commissioner
Hold on,
Cruz.
wait, it should be to table it to direct staff to go back to the city of Bradenton to negotiate the payment of the attorney fees. We
That
have
was
to give
gonna
them
be-
direction of what to do.
That was going to be my follow-on. So
The word table is at
Whatever
the
the word is.
bottom, but
Yeah.
Okay, use a different word then.
Yeah. So in any event, the recommendation that I would have had to the board is to give staff authorization and direction to negotiate the fee or termination or elimination of that fee. So why don't we add that caveat into the motion?
I'm getting there.
Thank you. So I'll just restate it for, sure. So Commissioner McCann, just to clarify the motion, beyond tabling, would you accept an amendment to direct staff to negotiate the elimination of the fee as well?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Cruz, you okay with that? Yeah. All right. Any public comment? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. You can cast your votes.
Aye.
All right, that passes unanimously. Go to item number 31, also Commissioner McCann, the execution of a non-residential optional supplemental power services agreement between FP&L and Manatee County for 9000 Town Center. Go ahead, sir.
My question is this for a backup generator? Because, you know, the cost of this is $52,000 a month.
Kerry Knight, Director of Property Management. No, this is not it's not a backup to a backup. It is the backup power system for the building. It's for removing the two diesel generators and then installing two new generators that are natural gas based.
So you're removing two diesel generators that are there now?
Yeah, both are at the end of their life span, and the tank has an intact inner lining, but the outer lining, the second outer lining of the tank is ruptured, and it's cost prohibitive to replace that tank and system the way it is. We'd have to replace the entire thing.
Okay, and this is a 20-year agreement. Why 20 years? This is $12,480,000.
Yes, this is the exact same and style agreement that the board just approved for utilities a couple months ago for the generator at the water treatment plant. So if there's specific questions from FP&L, there are FP&L representatives here today.
you have any questions, Commissioner McCann?
So what you're doing is you're putting in 2 new generators? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
And these are
it
backup
extends.
generators. They're not the primary source?
I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were still speaking, so I talked over you. I didn't hear the last portion of it.
Okay, these are not the primary source of the electricity there. These are backup generators to keep it going in case of a power outage?
So if we lose the main electrical feed to the property, there would be, if we move forward with this, there would be 2 natural gas generators that supply power to the building so that the building would still have power when electricity goes out. Yes. It also redoes all the automatic transfer switches, which are inside the building at the end of their lifespan. It does those, and it does work on the electrical service feed, and then it brings in the gas line to the property. It also provides us with a backup generator for the duration of construction, so that right now the building has no backup power.
This building is getting to cost a lot of money. Did we know this when we bought it?
Yes.
We did know this when we bought it.
Yes. We didn't know the tank was ruptured when we bought the building, but we knew that the generators were nearing the end of their lifespan.
And Carrie, we'll be using this facility for pre and post storm.
Yes, we've anybody who's not assigned to the EOC, this will be the rally point for Public Works, Property Management, possibly even part of utilities to, and then we're working with Risk as well. So this could be a rally point for us to go out and assess our own infrastructure and our own buildings.
Do we have backup generators in all the county buildings, or is this just one of them?
We have backup generators. I don't know the exact number of buildings that have backup generators, but we're trying to have backup generation at key facilities across the entire county.
Any more questions, Commissioner?
No, that's just a lot of expense. And again, this building seems to be, becoming a money pit.
All right. Okay, Commissioner Cruz.
Yeah. One, I have a comment and then a clarifying question. One, when we purchased the building, the entire budget for it was for a number that far exceeded the acquisition price because we had ample time to dig into it, understand the furniture needs, the build-out needs, as well as any deferred maintenance needs inclusive of this. So we bought it for 20-something million. The total budget that this board approved was 30-something million because of the additional costs. So when you see additional costs come through, they were accounted for in the original budget, and we're still working out to about $300 a foot, whereas other counties immediately to the south of us are at like $1,300 a foot or whatever number they're at for their substantially similar building that they're moving into. So one way or another, we got to steal. Second, this is more of a clarifying question, and correct me if I'm incorrect here, but the impression I think some people may be getting is we're paying $50-something thousand a month for servicing of this, but in reality, there's no upfront cost to this, correct? So we're not paying $52,000 quote unquote for the servicing. That's inclusive of the capital expense of this. We're not coming out of pocket for tens of millions of dollars to buy these and then subsequently service them at $52,000. The cost of the product, they're bringing their own product and keeping ownership of their product. Therefore, they're keeping the maintenance of the product and all the responsibility of the product. So we're leasing this from them, inclusive of the servicing, correct? And if you use the number he used, whatever it was, $12 million over 20 years, and you consider the inflationary expenses associated with 20 years worth of look back on this, this is a way of making sure that we're not overextending our capital expenses up front and having some level of straight line expenses into the future without risking the taxpayers being burdened by extensive maintenance costs and other costs associated with the ownership of these, correct?
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Ballard.
And so if we were to replace the current generators with diesel generators, would we have the same kind of outstretched period where, we're paying $52,000 a month, or would we be expected to kind of to pay for the cost of those new diesel generators up front?
If we didn't do the program with FP&L, we would have to do a capital project. We would have to hire an architect design team. We would have to design the entire thing, and then we would have to buy the generators and put them in. So we would be hit up front with probably about $9 million right off the bat. So this takes all of the design, the purchasing of the generators, all the rework of the automatic transfer switches inside the electrical room inside the building, brings them outside where they can be more easily serviced, swaps us out, brings in the other one, and pays for the temporary generator for the next year so that we can have backup power there in case we're hit by something this summer. And it pays for all of that, plus all of the maintenance for 20 years, hands-free. And I will say that these are great questions because in addition to the one utilities brought a couple months ago, we have this one as well. And then immediately after summer recess, we're going to come back with an entire plan that puts the entire jail system on and redoes the entire backup power for the entire jail out by the port.
Thank you. One more question. Is there a benefit to using natural gas versus diesel when it comes to, interruption of power, our ability to get the fuel to the generators?
100%. When we saw the issues at the port with having availability to fuel, we removed that from the equation, and natural gas being buried, we've had less instances of disruption in natural gas, and it really takes that kind of one more piece out of the EOC where we're having to worry about fueling of generators.
Thank you.
Okay, no one else is on the board. I'll accept any motions at this time.
Second.
Okay, that's a motion by Commissioner Cruz, seconded by Commissioner Ron to approve the execution of the Power Services Agreement. I'll open up public comment. Is there any public comment on this item? I don't see the attendees list there. Thank you. All right, seeing none, I'll close public comment. You can cast your votes.
I vote nay.
All right. All right, that passes 5-1 with Commissioner McCann in opposition. All right, that concludes consent. We'll take a 10-minute break and be back at 10:32. Thank you. We're back. We'll begin with the regular portion of our meeting. Item 39 has been deferred to a date not set, so we'll pass on that one. We'll go to item 40, appointment of a member to the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee. Pamela, why don't you take it away?
Sir, there's only one applicant.
Oh, one app. Okay. All right. So I'll take motions to appoint the one applicant. All right. That's a motion by Commissioner Ron, seconded by Commissioner Cruz to appoint.
For the clerk, it's Samantha Patterson.
Okay, Samantha Patterson to seat 11. Any public
Adoption
comment?
of the resolution?
What?
Okay. Was that an aye, Commissioner McCann?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, an
Yeah,
adoption of the resolution.
Okay. Oh, and the adoption of the of R26052, appointing her member to C11. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. That's
it. Oh, very efficient.
I'm sorry, who made the motion?
Commissioner Ron, seconded by Commissioner Cruz.
Thank you.
Okay. And just to confirm, the commissioners who made the motion are okay with the adoption of that resolution to appointing? Okay. All right. You can cast your votes. There's no public comment. And Commissioner McCann was an aye.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, Commissioner Ron.
We would be done by 11 if it was.
All right. That appointment passes unanimously. Congratulations, Ms. Patterson. All right. We'll go on to item number 41, Property Management Trust for Public the Trust for Public Land Conservation Finance Feasibility Study 2026 for Manatee County. Go ahead, Kara.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kara Koenig, Manatee County Environmental Lands Program Manager. And I'm here before you today with the Trust for Public Land team, which includes Will Aberger, Vice President and Director of Conservation Finance, Jessica Welch, Senior Conservation Research Analyst of Conservation Finance, and Casey Bauer, who's the Conservation Finance Director for Florida, to present their Manatee County Draft 2026 Conservation Finance Feasibility Study for board feedback and input on potential options. This study is the first deliverable prepared by TPL for the technical assistance requested by the board in January 2026 to support the county's efforts in consideration of increasing dedicated ongoing sources of public funds for land conservation and parks. Previously in 2019, TPL worked with the county and community organizations to develop the 2019 Manatee County Conservation Finance Feasibility Study, and following that study and public opinion research, those efforts resulted in the successful 2020 Manatee County Conservation and Parks Projects Referendum with a 71% voter approval, and is how the county's environmental lands program came to fruition. So we are grateful for their expertise and that they were able to be here today. And with that, I will turn it over to Will Aberger.
Thank you very much, Kara, and thanks so much, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. It's a pleasure to be back here in Manatee County. The last time I was here in 2020, you were meeting at the Civic Center. It was during COVID. We all had social distancing, so it's much nicer to be here with you in the regular commission chambers today. We are here today to discuss our conservation finance feasibility study for Manatee County, which you've all received a copy of. And I want to walk through that, but just before we get started with that, just a few words about the Trust for Public Land. I believe you're all relatively familiar with our organization, but we're a national private nonprofit land conservation organization. Our mission is connecting people with the outdoors, and we do that a number of ways. We've been here in Florida since 1972. It was actually our second office in the country. Now we have 31 offices around the country. We deliver our Land for People mission in a number of ways, and the area that Jessica and Casey and I work in is what we call our conservation finance program. And that's working at the state and local level to create new sources of public funding for parks and conservation. Much of that work is ballot measures, questions that are placed before voters asking them to dedicate funding of one sort or another to parks or conservation. We've been about that work for about 30 years now, and over that span of time, I've worked on over 680 successful state and local ballot measures, generating about $112 billion for parks and conservation across the country, and we're very proud of that track record. And we have had the great good fortune to win voter approval for 84% of the ballot measures that we support around the country. And we get to that number by doing our homework and doing the work that we did here in Manatee County in 2019 and 2020, as Kara mentioned, but also the work we're doing right now, looking toward a possible November 2026 ballot measure here in Manatee County. We work all over the country in rural areas and urban areas, in communities large and small. And as you can see here, overall, when American voters are given an opportunity to vote on parks and conservation, more often than not, they're saying yes. And we're very proud to have been able to help create those sources of funding that are protecting those places that are so important to our communities. Florida has been a leader in this area. Much as we're a leader in state funding for conservation, we're also a leader in local funding for conservation. The Trust for Public Land has had the great good fortune to be involved in 52 local and state ballot measures here in the state of Florida, and we've won 45 of those. As you can see in the last general election, voters in Clay County and Lake County, in Martin County and Osceola County, all approved referenda dedicating funding in those counties for conservation. So very popular in Florida as well. As Kara said, this is something that's not new to voters in Manatee County. They saw the question in 2020, which was approved by, at the end of the day, 71% of the voters for a $50 million bond and a 0.15 mil property tax increase. And looking out across county land conservation programs in Florida, your program is something you should be very, very proud of. Charlie and Kara and Kendall and the staff have done an outstanding job working with willing landowners on a voluntary basis only to acquire lands for conservation in the county. And they've used that funding well to not only secure a lot of important conservation lands here in Manatee County, but also double Manatee County's taxpayers' money by leveraging state funding and federal funding. As Kara said, you did request the Trust for Public Lands technical assistance back in January, and that's the work we're undertaking now. These are the steps that we recommend that any community that's considering a ballot measure for conservation go through. They're the exact same steps we went through in 2019 and 2020. It starts with feasibility research, and you're going to hear more about that in detail from my colleague Jessica. The feasibility research fundamentally helps us understand what are the finance mechanisms that are available, how much revenue would they generate, and very importantly, what would the impact on taxpayers be. There's a lot more that goes into that you'll hear about from Jessica in just a moment. The second step for us is almost always to do a survey, a poll of voters in the jurisdiction to understand what voter attitudes are towards the ballot measure. Assuming you accept the feasibility report today, that would be our next step here in Manatee County. Based on what we learned in the feasibility research and the poll, we'd be back in front of you later this summer with a recommendation whether or not to proceed based on what we've learned. And obviously that final vote is up to you as the county commission. We always call out the actual ballot language as a separate step, very, very important, what the voters read when they get ready to cast their ballot. We've got a great example in the ballot language that the county commission approved and Manatee County voters saw in 2020. Assuming the county commission does take action to refer a measure to the ballot, then we'd be working outside of the governmental realm with private citizens in the community to organize a campaign committee to put together a campaign budget and to educate voters about the ballot measure, just as we did in 2020. So that takes us to the feasibility study itself. I'm going to turn it over to Jessica to walk you through that.
Thank you, and good morning. So the feasibility research looks at all of these things listed here. I wanted to say it takes information that your staff have. It's just in a bunch of different places. So information from the Environmental Lands Program, the Finance Department, Budget, Elections Department, and it pulls it all together into one place so that everyone can be on the same page. And that is the cover. And it, again, as Will said, it is draft. So if you have any comments, please let us know. And this is the table of contents. Today, I'm just going to focus on the four options that we looked at, which were bonds with additional property tax, just a straight property tax, and the sales tax. So for bonds, Manatee County could issue bonds for conservation. And just as an example, taking that middle line, $100 million would add about $7.7 million to the county's annual debt service and would cost about $35 a year for the average homeowner over the life of the bond. And here we're assuming a 4.5% interest rate over 20 years. And then in Florida, you also have this option to combine a bond with a property tax. So as an example, in 2020, you did the 0.15 mils and with a $50 million bond. And so we looked at doing another 0.15 mils, which would cost the average homeowner $47 a year. And then from that revenue, you could issue various bond amounts. So just sticking with the $100 million, again, that would require about $7.7 million for the debt service, leaving about $2.8 million to support operations and maintenance. And for bonds, some of the kind of considerations are they raise a lot of money up front. So you have, excuse me, you have money to make acquisitions now while the land is available before it's been developed. But bonds cannot be used for operations and maintenance unless you include the property tax as well. And then also interest increases the total cost over time. For a property tax, we looked at, various options, sticking with the 0.15 millage example, that would generate about $10.5 million annually and again cost the average homeowner $47 a year. This is not necessarily like a dedicated funding source. The board could, it needs to be approved by the board every year, basically, during the budget process. And this would require more of a pay-as-you-go approach to funding versus getting that large sum of money up front from a bond. And then finally, for the sales tax, the infrastructure sales tax, Manatee County is currently at 0.5%. You can go up to 1%. So this table shows the total revenue that would be generated from that 1% sales tax. And so that's more than a little over 101 million per year. The revenue is shared with the municipalities. So Manatee County's portion would be about 86 million. And this could be used for parks, conservation, protection of natural resources, in addition to other infrastructure projects. And we estimate that this would cost the median household $180 per year. So that would be an increase of 90 from what they're already paying. Some considerations for the sales tax. This would allow the county to collect revenues from visitors. So we estimate that residents spending would generate about 31% of that revenue, and the rest would come from businesses, visitors, anything besides residents. This option is also something that cannot be used for operations and maintenance. It's only for infrastructure, capital projects. And just one consideration is that sales tax revenues can kind of fluctuate with the economy. And I'll hand it back over to Will. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jessica. So your Manatee County is not alone in looking at conservation funding, dedicated conservation funding in Florida. We're working with a number of other jurisdictions throughout the state that you see here on this list who are also considering placing a referendum before the voters in the November 2026 election. Your neighbors to the south in Sarasota County just late last month voted to refer a $250 million bond referendum to the ballot. We're also working with the city of Bonita Springs down in Lee County that has referred a $35 million bond referendum to the ballot on the primary for acquisition of a rail-to-trail project there in Bonita Springs. Brevard County is considering renewing their sales tax for Indian River Lagoon restoration. Charlotte County, Highlands County, Marion County are all looking at potential conservation funding. Santa Rosa County actually already approved the ballot language to extend their existing half-cent sales tax that would fund roads, public safety, and conservation. We expect a final vote on that next week. So happy to answer any questions. Again, as Jessica said, the feasibility study is only a draft. Assuming we get the thumbs up from you today and we're not seeking any formal action, the next step for us would be, again, at our own expense, to survey voters here in Manatee County to, again, get their ideas. Fundamentally, what we want to know from the poll is this something that would succeed in Manatee County? Is this something that voters here would support? But there's also a lot of interesting information we can get looking at different amounts and tax tolerance and those types of things. So that's where we are, and thank you very much for listening to me and Jessica speak this morning.
All right, I'll start with Commissioner Cruz. Go ahead, sir.
I have one question about your various options. On 2024, I tried to put this on the ballot. Didn't get enough support for it. But because we were starting to run out of money a little bit in terms of, because the way it was originally written basically capped us at $50 million worth of bonding. And we had bonded, I think, 35 million of it so far, right? Yeah. So we bonded 35 million. So 70% of our bonding capacity in a perpetuity has already been utilized at this point. But we're collecting a lot of money because 0.15 mils is a chunk of change. It's over $10 million a year. So I had been pushing just to put a new ballot, a referendum on there to increase the bonding capacity because we're collecting 10, almost 11 million. That's going to go up every year, presumably. At some point, maybe it doesn't. And if the state has a way, it may go down to zero. And then we buy nothing and just let people build townhouses on everything. So did you run an analysis that just showed what realistically is the maximum bonding capacity based upon our existing millage? Because all of your solutions, and look, it's super important, but every one of your solutions, unless I'm mistaken, involved people paying more.
Right.
It was an additional sales tax. There was additional millage. There's the board arbitrarily increasing millage on an annual basis, which literally is never going to happen. But none of it said, hey, you're already collecting almost $11 million. And based on trajectory, yes, there's some blips, but based on trajectory, property taxes are going up every year over this long period. So over the next 10, 20 years, it's safe to assume this is the aggregate collection. This is the percentage that should be utilized for debt service and therefore acquisition. This is what should be held back for maintenance or whatever, or people buying backhoes or whatever we used that money for that one time. But I didn't see that in here. I didn't see any proposal where it's like, hey, we can go to the citizens and say, we're not looking for more money for you. We're just looking for a better way to utilize the money you're already agreeing to pay in, because we're cognizant of the financial situation we're all in. We're cognizant of we're trying to lower our millage this year, simultaneously saying, we're going to lower 0.15. Here's a ballot initiative to increase it 0.15. It's like, kind of just gaming this. So did you run that analysis of what's a feasible amount of bonding based on our current millage?
Yes, that's a great question, Commissioner Cruz, and we did look at that. The existing 0.15 mil that Manatee voters approved in 2020 is tied to that $50 million bond issuance. So I believe, in fact, that all of the bonds have now been issued. Is that correct, Charlie? Yeah. The entire $50 million. You did one $35 million issuance, and then you did a second issuance of $15 million. So the county is bound to use whatever portion of that 0.15 mils is necessary to continue to pay down the debt of those bonds, and I believe they expire out in like 2045 or something like that. The balance of the funding is being used for the operations maintenance of those properties that the county has acquired using those bond funds or will acquire using those bond funds. So according to our analysis and what our understanding of Florida law, in order to obtain additional bonding authority, the Manatee County voters would have to approve that in addition to the millage that would be necessary to serve those bonds.
So it's your opinion that the 0.15 mils we're collecting now is only sufficient to cover the debt service on $50 million worth of bonds, and then all the rest of it goes towards the maintenance and operation of it?
No. There would be excess millage after the debt service on the bonds.
Okay, and that's literally where I'm going with my question. Yeah. What is that number?
I don't know exactly what that number is now. I think it's about half at this point. If we look at if you look here on this table, at the generation of, and we don't have 0.15 here, but it might be on the next one.
I mean, go back one.
Yeah. Sure.
Or maybe that one works too. I mean, you're basically saying that we can bond up to $125 million with 0.15, right?
Right.
So we collect 0.15. So hypothetically speaking, couldn't we bond $125 million with the existing millage? Yes, we've used 50 of it, but that's still giving us an unused capacity of potentially 75 million if we had a ballot referendum from the public allowing us to bond up to that number.
Yeah, you would definitely have to get new bonding authority from the voters.
Agreed.
There's no
I agree with that
doubt
part.
about
That's why I tried to do in 2024.
Yeah.
My argument
So-
was, why bother at 125? Why not make it 150,
Right.
200? Because then if we end up some windfall where property growth happens, whatever, and we have more millage, then in theory, we wouldn't have to wait 2 years to go in front of a board and go through this, or a ballot and go through this whole effort again. Okay, that was my question.
Yeah. And these are worst-case assumptions based on for the tax impact. Here,
Sure.
we assume all the bonds are issued at once. Again, 4.5% interest rate and a 20-year term. So, and we also don't assume that county's property tax base is going to increase, which undoubtedly it will.
Sure. So realistically speaking, first off, we wouldn't float them all at once because
Right.
we have a finite window of time to use it. So what you're saying realistically is the current millage we're collecting, if the public would change it based upon a ballot, we could realistically go out at 150 million all in or 200 million. And if we don't use it all, we don't use it all. We're setting a ceiling. We're not guaranteeing we're going to use that. It has to work with the millage. But if you're taking downside, assuming we're going to float them all day one, so debt service starts day one, which it will not, and you're assuming zero growth in property taxes, which it won't.
Yeah.
That I'm just saying, if we go to the public and say, we're going to take more money for you to do this, or we can do 75 to $100 million more without taking another penny from you because you're paying it one way or another, that's a little bit tougher
Yeah.
sell when we're trying to lower taxes.
To me, the salient issue here is what is that amount that is not necessary for debt service and what is it being used for now? That's the question. So.
Just a brief announcement. We had a technical issue, so the live stream's down. Staff are working on it. So, and that includes Commissioner McCann. He was dropped from the call, but staff are working on it. Yeah, and our client's been going down, so we'll just have to rely on old school minutes. I was at last night's LMAC meeting, very productive. A lot of good debate, discussion on property tax, what happens with it if it ends, or we see a reduction, sales tax, all that. The various options are debated, and I think generally speaking, the committee was more favorable with the bonding approach. And this is why experience is helpful in the committee with some members, but the sales tax approach is quickly shot down because voters have historically disapproved of the sales tax. It was an effort to get it going anyways, but it's certainly an option that could be revisited in the future, just likely to not pass. The other thing that was mentioned was if anything is tried in 2028, the school board every 4 years is going to reauthorize, is going to go to work to reauthorize their millage, and so that can cause some confusion or some challenges with working with anything environmental related or any other tax. So there's something to be mindful of. This is really our best year. It's not the greatest year, but it's the best year to put something else on. So sales tax, probably not. Bonding was the best, was the general recommended approach by the committee, and I tend to agree. It's just an easier sell, but it's just doable, more doable and more easy to understand to voters. The only question I did have was actually in line with Commissioner Cruz. I didn't get to ask it, but and I missed part of it. I apologize. But are you saying that we would have to increase the millage to have additional bond capacity, or can we use the existing 0.15 mils to issue up to 125 million in bonds? I just want to clarify that.
So the existing 0.15 mils is tied to the $50 million bond referendum that voters approved in 2020.
Okay.
So whatever portion of that 0.15 mils is necessary to serve the debt on those bonds, which have already been issued, is now pledged. The county has to pay off that debt.
Mm-hmm.
The question becomes what's left over after the debt's paid off, and how does the county want to use it?
So are you proposing we would have to have an additional millage?
That's certainly one option, yeah.
Well, one option rather would be, for example, if we wanted to issue a bond of $150 million, we would have to have an additional 0.1649 mil.
That's
on
correct.
top of the 0.15.
Yes, sir.
Okay, got it. Okay.
And thank you for mentioning the LMAC meeting yesterday. I meant to mention to the board that we did present to your Environmental Land Management Acquisition Advisory Committee yesterday evening, and got some very good feedback and a vote of confidence, I think. So
Yeah, we and Pace is really freaking out. We had to. I feel like I'm gonna get a seizure looking at this thing. We did debate whether existing IST funds could be leveraged at best, I mean, unless you labeled everything a park, you really can't leverage IST funds, and it's really not the intent of what the voters, intent of the voters at that point in time in 16. But also the timeline for that's coming up close. In the report, it mentioned May 7th for the board to take action to put something on the ballot. But again, I just don't think it's a great strategy. It's not likely to pass if we did anything with sales tax. My understanding is whatever the approach is, we're not deciding that today. You're going to go out, you're going to conduct polling, research will present that on June. You're testing out different language options, you're testing out different tax options, informing them. Are you also, just to clarify, informing the public of the success of this program too? Just making sure.
Yes, that would definitely be part of that.
Okay, good. That was a question that came up last night. So we're not going to decide on anything today other than to give you approval to move forward with this, essentially. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the data shows, because the best data we have is 70%, 71% approval from 2020. And so certainly development is key, is a top issue of mine, but I also think a lot of people don't fully understand just how quickly we've bought so much property and bonded out since 23, even though the measure was approved in 2020, and just how many acres we have preserved. So I think for our staff, I didn't really find a webpage for this, but maybe we can put together one just to show between fee simple acquisitions of properties with the bond plus the actual conservation easements, just how much we've purchased. People also seem to be under the misconception that we would sell off the land to develop into hotels or something. That's not the case. We don't just vacate easements or sell off these parcels. They're very much going to be kept as they are, or improved for removing invasive species, all that. So I'm looking forward to the report. I guess the question I have is, what direction do you need? Because this says no action requested. Do staff need any direction from this board at this time?
No, again, just your feedback on the feasibility report, and we're getting ready to invest a little money in a poll, and we want to know you guys are going to listen to the results. So
got it. I have Commissioner Ron first, then Commissioner Ballard. Oh, you're off. Thank you, Commissioner Ballard.
So very, very briefly, I just want to make sure I understand. So this is going back to the question that Commissioner Cruz asked, Commissioner Sadiq asked. So it sounds like you're saying that with the 0.15 that we have, there is not additional bonding capacity. We would have to increase the millage in order to have additional bonding capacity. Is that
correct?
Is that what you're saying? Okay. Thank you.
All right. Why don't we take a quick recess while the tech issues are sorted out? This is a pretty important discussion, so we want to make sure the public can at least watch it or more of it. So we'll come back at some point in time. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Find your seats, so go ahead and get started. We're still dealing with technical issues, but the meeting's being recorded, so people can just watch it after the fact. So, very good presentation. I don't have any more commissioners on the board. Now, the question I'd asked was, what, if any, direction do you need from the board? And then for staff, do you need any motions from us to proceed forward?
No, not at this time.
Okay, got it. Any final questions and thoughts? Kara?
This was brought up at the LMAC meeting last night, but I just wanted to state, regardless of the options that move forward, we currently, and You may recall from the January meetings with execution of the memorandums of agreement with the rural and family lands conservation easements. We are looking to put language onto the voter ballot for incorporating agricultural lands into the referendum to be able to purchase those conservation easements with the funding of this program, since we are currently unable to do so and had to demonstrate unrestricted other sources of funding for the rural family lands partnerships. So that is why we are just, for your information, looking to amend the language.
Got it. Thank you. And so one other update you gave last night was the Rural and Family Lands Program. While the budget's not finalized, the state is looking to prioritize conservation easements as opposed to fee simple acquisitions. So as we run out of the bond capacity, it's something we would just have to evaluate. Would that require any policy shift or change on part of this board? Or do you just continue to present easements? Because you have eight properties that you're looking at for fee simple acquisitions.
Yeah, so there is potential changes to state funding for conservation acquisition. Florida Forever, which is the primary state conservation public lands acquisition program, is looking at a potential severe budget cut. So from a local government perspective, the fee simple acquisitions are still very significant as a conservation mechanism, along with the conservation easements. And the Rural and Family Lands Program is looking at roughly a budget from 200 to 300 million. So with the access to funding for those easements, we can continue to diversify our conservation mechanisms.
Got it. Are you looking at TDRs, transfer development rights, as part of that conversation?
I wouldn't say we've necessarily discussed it, but there already are some policies incorporated into the comprehensive plan for transfer of development rights. And I know with the comp plan rewrite occurring and the draft on the website, I've worked with development services staff, and that definitely is something that we can look into for future additional mechanisms.
Sounds good. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So no formal motion, we'll move forward. Any public comment in the room? Seeing none, anyone on the phones, caller 441. You public comment on item 41. Just state your name, county of residence. You have 3 minutes.
Good afternoon, Anthony Shulo, Manatee County resident. I lost a lot of that in the end of that presentation, but I just wanted to call and say this is a fantastic program for folks that are talking about how we are losing our wetlands and we are getting steamrolled by development. I mean, this opportunity to claw back property and create these easements is just beneficial. I'm sure there's mutual benefit to many county utilities and services that can still happen on these lands, and I look forward to that. And the last comment I just wanted to make is it would be great if we could broadcast those LMAC meetings, just so we don't sort of guess and wait. If that's an opportunity to do in the future, I'd love to listen to those environmental land meetings that you guys hold. Thanks for the time and thanks for the effort. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. No more hands raised, so I'll close public comment. And looking forward to seeing the update in June. Thank you. Yep. Awesome. So now we're on the commissioner agenda item portion. I'll move up 46 first. We have SCF in the audience. So I was sponsoring this item for staff. We had a number of conversations since, We had the conversation at our work session about economic development strategies, incentives. I encourage the public to go back and watch. And one of the things that came of that was this idea of Suncoast Prosper and the general conversation around what are the levers and gears we as a board have to manipulate so that we can drive businesses and to come to Manatee County and see us as an attractive area. And so workforce development became a part of that. But as we've seen, there are a lot of people that, like with the drug court proclamation, do fall through the cracks in Manatee County. And so there are a lot of opportunities for us to attract workers here, make ourselves more attractive for employees to want to be and stay here. And certainly for those people that are just need that last mile help just to get into a program that can provide them with some degree and be a productive part of our community. The direction today, just to clarify, and I'll turn it over to SEF, is the staff did not have formal direction to really move forward with this. There was a work session, but no formal votes. And so I wanted to bring this up, sponsored for staff, so that the board could once again review this proposal for Suncoast Prosper and provide formal direction to staff I spoke with the county attorney. That's why we settled on the July 28th return date. So just some additional context for you there. With that, I'll turn it over to President Gregory from SCF.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Chairman and Commissioners. We appreciate your leadership on this subject. This truly is exciting. This is the last mile, as you just said, Chairman. Sadiq? Oh, yes, thank you. Tommy Gregory, President of the State College of Florida, and with me, Vice President Jamie Smith for Government Relations on behalf of the State College of Florida. Again, we do appreciate your leadership in this area. This truly is exciting for Manatee County families. This is that last dollar funding, equivalent to about 12% of the tuition and fees that Manatee County high school graduates would pay to attend the State College of Florida. We're just excited that you're considering it. We've seen it make big differences in counties from other counties in the state. And I'd like to turn it over to Jamie Smith to brief the details. She deserves the credit for learning about this program in other counties, visiting them, figuring out exactly how it works, and then say a thank you to several members of your staff for the informal conversations we've been having with Stephanie Garrison and Amy Johnson, county attorney, and each of you. So we look forward to your consideration of this. And with that, I'd ask Jamie Smith to go over the details.
Thank you, President Gregory. So to start, as President Gregory mentioned, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you. It is a last stop program, and basically what it does is it provides the last dollar for any student who graduates from Manatee County, resident of Manatee County, to be able to attend college. So they would have filled out the FAFSA, they would have applied for any grants, scholarships, Pell or otherwise, and what this does is again provides that last dollar so they're able to attend. So just some quick facts. I'm sure many of you are very familiar with State College of Florida, but for those who aren't, we were founded in 1957. We have over 65,000 graduates, many of which we know over 25,000 are living, working, and playing here. We are the high performing state college of our 28 sisters and brothers in the system. We have 10,000 credit seeking students annually, as well as another 11,000 non-credit students. And I joke it'd be easier to tell you what we don't do, so I use the acronym of BETH. If you remember anything, remember BETH when it comes to State College of Florida: Business, Education, Technology, and Health Sciences. We provide for most of those degrees and other platforms, most of which are the most high degree seeking programs in the area. So fun fact, and I stated it before, our dental hygiene program was started because dentists came to us and said, we need dental hygienists. So that's how a lot of our programs start and how they expand. We have line partners with the hospitals that have provided match dollar funding so that we could expand and double our nursing program. Our tuition has not increased in 15 years, and that is per the state wishing to keep it more affordable and not put that burden on students. 70% of our students are first time in college, and of those, we retain retention rate is about 77%. A 27% transfer out rate and 40% graduation rate, of which I just want to identify that's over the 3 years and of the FTIC, just for a clarification of that data point. And just for community reference, the student representation in the county is 51% who attend State College of Florida are from Manatee County. The other 38.5% are from Sarasota. 50% of adults in Manatee County do not have a credential beyond their high school diploma. And I want to point out an important fact about that. The reason why that is stated so carefully there is that some of them have tried to attend college, but had to stop. And that goes to that next fact, which is about 50% of students who had to stop out cited financial hardship as the primary reason. And 50% of your residents are having to spend most of their essential dollars on housing, food, and gas just so they can survive. So it's a matter of choice of survival versus what else they can do. This does have demonstrated results. In other counties, the program has increased enrollment upwards of 20%, retention about 15%. And now in its fourth year, Osceola Prosper, who we used as the case study, they've awarded 1,143 associate degrees, 850 technical certificate completers, and about 906 trade program completers as they partnered with their trade schools as well. And since the launch of Osceola Prosper, the county's college going rate is now among the highest in the state. Indian River State College is another college that does it. Again, has seen a $2 billion impact on its local economy. And our sister institution up in St. Petersburg has also seen an influx of graduation as well as retention. Your return on investment. Increasing degree completion drives regional economic growth. We know that for associates, they tend to earn $8,000 to $12,000 more per year, and every dollar invested in higher education gives you a return of $4 to $7. It expands your skilled workforce in high-need sectors, nursing, education, business, and technology. Again, I've joked with you before that if you're ever getting medical services around here, ask a nurse. They are more than likely a graduate from the State College of Florida. Long-term community benefits, it reduces poverty, improves health outcomes, and you have a greater economic stability. And very proud of this fact, and this study was just done again as part of the Florida college system. Your SCF, your state college, generates $507.2 million annually in regional economic impact. So the ask is for you to invest in your local community and in about 1,000 students over 3 years for about $7.5 million, the first year being about 1.5, years 2 and 3, about $3 million. And Commissioner Cruz, thank you for that very financially astute reference. You'll see here we've added a pie chart that shows that the Suncoast Prosper is about 12% of the total investment of the tuition and fees that we're receiving from the community. And with that, I open it to questions.
Commissioner Cruz.
I don't think this is a question for you. I have a pretty good handle on what you're looking for. This is more just from a board standpoint. Two things. One, the July 28th, and if we do it by July 28th, it'd be part of a new budget, so it wouldn't really take effect till October 1st. So I just want to make sure we're taking the proper time, because this is going to have to be incorporated into a budget, which won't be finalized by July 28th. So anything we do on that date is going to be preliminary, contingent upon a final budget, because you're literally putting it on the very first meeting the day we all show back up from summer recess to approve something based upon a budget that we haven't even set the millage for yet. That seems a little tight, considering we wouldn't be able to use it, right? This isn't something we'd use for fall 26.
No, sir.
So do what you want, but I just think you may end up getting people asking for a delay or being, pending a final approval of a budget, which doesn't come till September. And then we have more than enough time to finalize it based upon the reality. Not to mention November, they may try to pass a ballot initiative slashing our property taxes, which could result in us saying, oh, sorry, we have no money for you anymore, because now we've lost all of our money. So that's a lot of start and stop. I feel like this is a great program that's been discussed now for over a year. I think when Jamie approached me about it first. And I feel like now, because there's a lot of momentum and we're all for it, and we are, I just want to make sure we're not starting and stopping something with a lot of uncertainty, because this is not insignificant amount of money. The second thing is the discussion at our work session was in support of this, but at least my part of it, and I got the sense other people, this was an instead of, not an also to, because we don't have money. Like my comments were, I don't know why we're picking winners and losers and throwing money at big corporations to hire people. We should be using our money to make Manatee County an attractive place for people to voluntarily come. So any discussion about this is going to have some level, it's not going to be dollar for dollar, but some level of understanding of trade-off associated with other forms of economic development. This will be part of our new economic plan. This will be the what is it, phase 3, phase 4, or whatever it was called. With the intent of improving our cost of living, and improving our workforce, and improving our education level to make people want to come here by themselves. So we're not just bribing people to come to Manatee County. They're going to want to come here because of the citizens that SCF is going to, educate. So as long as we're understanding of those two things, that July 28th may be a little premature just from a reality standpoint, and that I would fully expect this to replace some other source of funding we intended, not be in addition to, because we're still talking $7.5 million here. Otherwise, I 100% support this program. I think this is a better use of our dollars than what we're currently doing.
Commissioner Roan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Real quick question. Jimmy, you have the number, average or a number of the students that once they graduate from state colleges stay in Manatee County, or?
We don't.
We don't?
I could look into that, but it's a hard
Okay,
data
'cause,
point to track.
I'm 100% for this program. I think it's great. I mean, and the Commissioner Cruz's point about being part of the economic development plan. When a student would get funding out of this program to continue on with their degree, is there any requirement for them to stay within the county for a certain period of time, or stay within, not take our money and get their degree and go to Georgia or something like that, or whatever? I don't know. I'm just asking a question. I just asked a question. I mean, when we were in the military, if we signed our contract, we got additional bonus, we had to stay for another 5 or 10 years or whatever. Yeah, I'm thinking about. I think that's a good idea. No, I'm just trying to think out loud, because this is citizens' investment in State College, and I know it's probably unenforceable, and it's not. But is there something, because we want them to stay? We want to educate our kids. We want them to stay. We want them to be part of the economic development plan. We want businesses to come here and hire our kids that graduate from State College. And I'm just trying to figure out a way, to get it almost it's like a commitment from them. Like, look, I'm going to do everything I can to stay. Because you guys do a phenomenal job, and we need to. And like Commissioner Cruz's point, we want people to come here because of our employment base that's coming out of our colleges.
Thank you, Commissioner. Two great questions, clearly designed on trying to ensure that the dollars that you spend for Manatee County benefit Manatee County. And we don't know the percentage exactly. We will get back to you, but we know it's in the high 80s, the percentage of our students that stay right here in Manatee County, which is not a surprise, because the State College of Florida is your workforce college, right? Yeah. All of our students are commuter students. We don't have on-base housing. They are the local population anyway taking our classes. And again, we know we're in the high 80s of students that graduate from SCF that stay right here in Manatee County. They may leave to go as far away as Gainesville or Florida State if they transfer with their A and get their university degree. But the majority of them come right back here to Manatee County. I know in our last study, we have 60,000 graduates total since 1957, and we're now close to 30,000 of them that we know still live and work and play right here in Manatee County since 1957. So, and every year we're graduating several thousand more now at this size. So while we don't have a guarantee, and it probably be unenforceable, although I like what you're thinking, the military has a great way of clawing that money back from you, or otherwise getting it out of you, right, Commissioner Bearden? They will find a way. But we could certainly come up with some sort of, at least a pledge from them that they would pledge to contribute and work in and seek employment in Manatee County.
Yeah, I know we were talking the other day about what your next commencement class got like 1,000 students graduating, that's just phenomenal. And if 80% of those stay, that's 800 kids that stay in the workforce here in Manatee County. So no, I'm for the program. I want to figure out for how we can do it. But I was just kind of spinning around. I wanted to ask that question. So thank you very much for answering, and I appreciate it.
Commissioner Ballard.
So I like the idea of a pledge. We know it's not, hard and fast. We can't force these students to stay, but I do like that idea of having that pledge that they intend to remain in Manatee County. And I think the bigger thing that's going to keep these students in Manatee County is how well you're aligning with the employers that are already in the county. So I think if students have the jobs that they need available in the county when they graduate, they want to stay and they will stay. And to a large extent, they already do. I will also say that I do agree with Commissioner Cruz on the timeline a little bit, just because it's all going to be related to the budget for next year. So why not align this timeline with that budget process?
Commissioner McCann, your hand's raised.
Yes. My question is, how are they going to get the money? Is this a scholarship, or, how do they apply for this money? It's not a loan, obviously. So if it's a scholarship or some type of giveaway, normally the public health service or the military has a time obligation afterwards that is very enforceable. So the thing is that, I was just wondering how they're going to get this money And how do we determine that they've already used every last dollar?
Thank you for the great question. That is specified in the memorandum of understanding with the county. We would identify if they're eligible, and we would award the funds to their account through the college so that they could apply it to the courses that they're taking based on the criteria we define within the agreement. And then this is an opportunity for commissioners and the college alike to let these folks know that they are eligible for this program. And that again, every Manatee County high school student who chooses to pursue a higher education now has that opportunity. And it does have a time requirement. We've asked for them to do it within 3 years, which matches the college's mission and new goals to graduate students in 3 years or sooner. And again, it has to be required coursework for a degree they're hoping to seek, which, by the way, is a financial requirement just through financial aid. You have to take courses that are per your degree pathway, as we like to call it.
So they would apply at the college then, and the college would have these funds to disperse to them? Is that how it works?
Yes, sir. Very simply stated. Thank you.
Okay, and, you know, I think it's a great program too. I'd like to see people stay here because we're going to have a brain drain with younger people. You know, everywhere I go, everybody's my age, and that isn't fun. So the thing is that, you know, I would like to see this happen too, but I think we need a little bit more time to look at how the other programs work, you know, compare it to the Osceola program, see how it's going to go. And like Commissioner Cruz said, you know, it probably won't happen for this fiscal year coming up, 2026. So, you know, again, like I say, I'd like to work on this a lot further and see if we can't make this work somehow. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. A couple of quick things to close us out. Regarding the budget, to reiterate, staff have no direction, and so there is no direction to also include that funding in the budget as well. So the second part of the motion was to create the appropriate amendment in the decision unit under government relations to do that. I understand the awkwardness around the approval and timing. I would like to see it in the budget. I think there's anything you want to cut from District 3 to make it work, I'm fine doing that. That underscores the importance of this. And I think in any downturn, right, remember talking to President Gregory, in the economy or with property tax cuts, people go towards education. Why? Because they want to learn and find ways to increase their value to an employer, make more money, that type of thing. I think the worst thing you can do, whether you're seeing a reduction in collections and revenue through property tax or a 2008 repeat, is to not invest in your community, especially at a time when that community needs it most. I know governments like to cut a lot of things. Economic development should not be one of those because it, even in a downturn, even in times where we are going to see less in collections, there are other things that can be cut, I'm sure. Economic development's not one of them, and this is a key part of it. A couple of other things related to some edits that I wanted to highlight, and I appreciate you all mentioning the standards to which you hold yourselves to. When I was looking at the Osceola agreement, that was the one thing that was a bit of a quirk with how they put together their programming and what they fund specifically. So we came to an understanding to include not just the post-secondary curriculum frameworks, which you adhere to, but also the targeted occupations. Sorry, I always mess this one up, but it's the demand occupations list that the Florida Commerce sets, and every career source, every workforce board sets. It's a very broad list, but it's all the in-demand occupations that for any given year and certainly for the foreseeable future, so that we can narrow the scope of where the funding is going. But as SCF has said, and I trust them, and also I trust the frameworks that the state sets, I think the money is going to good use. We're not going to see this go towards things that are not beneficial. Lastly, on the piece about keeping people here, I'll point back to what was said at the work session in April 8th. There's no one thing that's going to keep people here. This isn't a jail. We're not holding you to staying in the county. I think it's good feedback having the pledge, but I also think it's incumbent upon this board and others in the community, but certainly this board, to create reasons for people to stay here. Can I promise and guarantee that everyone going through this program is going to stay here? No. I wouldn't. You want to know why? Because we need to work on more job centers. We need to create more employment opportunities here. And I think once we can leverage a program like this to increase relocations or expansions, we can certainly see more people wanting to stay here over time. But I think people will. The programs they target are for the immediate area here. But as we heard from that work session, businesses come to a community to plug into a system that exists, a support structure. Having a pipeline to employers, starting with an education that we're supporting is going to attract businesses here. It's going to make want people stay here. And as we heard from the UF professors, it's also integral to quality of life. If you can come to Manatee County and get an education with the last dollar support, people will stay here. They'll recognize this community cares about them and wants them to stay here. You're not going to get that in Sarasota. You're not going to get that anywhere except maybe Osceola County. So I think people will find reasons to stay here, and we're creating those reasons. I don't see anyone on well, Commissioner Cruz, you can go ahead, sir.
Yeah, just real quick to finish up. I think we're harping a little too much on staying here. Build a nice place to live and people will stay here. I mean, we're going to force someone to stay here, but they don't have job opportunities, but there's a good job opportunity in Orlando. We're like, nope, sorry, you just have to hang here for a couple of years because you promised. Like it's our job. It's our EDC's job to bring in workforce, to bring in and make sure we're building a dynamic location. But there's other parts to this. I mean, just having this program is going to incentivize families to come here and stay here that are the parents of these kids, because they know if their kid's going into high school and they make it through with whatever metrics and however it works for 4 years, then their kid has an opportunity to get an education here and also be able to live at home. And those parents typically, like I know me, I'd prefer my kids to stay here. So they're going to work to keep people here. And then if we get between the chamber and SCF and this board and everyone else, mentor programs and get people involved in the businesses and opportunities here while they're going through SCF partially on our dime, that's going to encourage them to stay. So there's lots of ways of keeping people to stay. Forcing them to is a terrible way, because you don't want a bunch of miserable people wandering the sidewalks, just staring at their phones, looking at opportunities in Atlanta as soon as their pledge runs out. Like that's the least of my concerns. That'll be self-fulfilling once we get people educated, and there's lots of educated people with good mentorship programs and businesses here that want to hire those people. That'll work itself out. And if it doesn't work itself out, that's on us, not on the kids who left for a better opportunity.
Well said. So closing things out, I can pass the gavel. Oh, Commissioner McCann, go ahead, sir. Commissioner McCann?
No, my hand's down.
Okay.
I just forgot to hit the lower button again.
Got it. Thank you, sir. So the motion that's attached today, and I'm happy to pass the gavel and make it, and on base is freaking out. So I can't see anything. Well, as I understood it, yeah, why not?
I have the verbiage if you.
Why don't you read the verbiage in, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Sadiq has passed the gavel. I am chair.
All right. Excellent.
So the motion that was on the packet that's in on-base is to direct staff to, 1, prepare a formal agreement for the July 28th board meeting with all reviews of the county attorney's office and staff completed, and 2, incorporate a budget for Suncoast Prosper for all appropriate fiscal years within relevant decision units.
I move to make the motion as presented.
Second.
Okay, we're going to see if this works.
Wait.
Can you see it?
She's got it.
Hold. No, I can't see it.
Okay.
I'm connecting.
There you go.
Oh, there we go. Motion to direct staff to, number 1, prepare a formal agreement for the July 28th board meeting with all reviews by the CAO and staff completed. Number 2, incorporate a budget for Suncoast Prosper and for all appropriate fiscal years within the relevant decision units.
I'm not sure.
So, all right. So do we have any public comment here in the room? Seeing no public comment in the room, I will move to the phones. Caller 605.
Andrew Griffin, Manatee County. I'd like a pledge. This is our money. They're getting this money to go to school or whatever they're going to be doing with it. I think that we need at least a pledge. There's not a business or a company you can go to and then pay for your education without some pledge to stay with that business for a couple years. So we're just going to be handing out our money, no return on investment, and the whole board is okay with that, not even at least just having them try to sign a pledge that they're not even held accountable to. We can't even do that for the people that are footing this bill. This is the stuff that's frustrating me. This is the stuff that's frustrating our community. And you guys just don't care. You're just handing it out. Oh, well, it's our responsibility. It's our responsibility. You're failing at your responsibility. Many of us are unhappy with the direction of this county. So I would really like, if you're going to be handing out the taxpayers' money, you have some accountability behind it, please.
Thank you very much. Caller 800.
Yeah, David Daniels, Manatee County. I hadn't planned on calling in on this issue, but just to respond to the previous caller, you can't force people to stay. I mean, it'd be one thing if you were guaranteeing them a job at a certain amount of pay, but you're not doing that. You're just telling them that they have to stay in what might be a limited opportunities. That's un-American, actually. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Do we have, I don't see any other hands raised, so I will close public comment. We have a motion and a second, and so we can all cast our votes now.
Before we cast our votes, I have a question.
Okay.
The way this motion reads, they're bringing this back. We're not approving this today, right?
That is correct.
Bringing this back, and then we'll be voting again at that meeting.
That is correct, Commissioner McCann.
Okay, that's fine. So if anybody has any input, they can put it in during that time. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And Commissioner McCann, how do you vote?
I'll vote yay on doing this, but again, we got to see what happens on the 28th.
All right. And so that passes 6-0. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Chair Ballard. I've got the gavel. I'll move up Tingley, that particular item. So to summarize this one, we had a board meeting last June in 2025, a joint meeting with the City Commission of Bradenton Beach. One of their asks of this board was to consider providing some sort of funding to support the Tingley Library. So if you're not familiar with Tingley Library, it's a very cute little city library. It was established was built in 94 after a bequeath from Beulah Tingley to the city of Bradenton Beach in the amount of $500,000 to create a private library. At that time, Island Branch was already there, and there was just a need identified in Bradenton Beach to have what was then called a reading room. Now, it's called a library today, to have that here. So staff went out after that discussion, myself included, administration, Brian, a few others, just to evaluate some of the asks. And the asks then, as they are now, were for county support for the front and back stairs and the air conditioning unit, including the duct work. At a recent city commission meeting in Bradenton Beach, the Chief of Police and Public Works Director mentioned on public comment that the asks were for roughly $350,000. That's a pretty substantial ask from us when it's not a county library. So I wanted to bring this back to the board because it has come up in conversation again. Lots of people, certainly lots of media attention, want to certainly see the library protected. And I think the city is also continuing to find out what their contribution is. They mentioned some conversations around potentially moving the library under the CRA authority in the city of Bradenton Beach to provide some funding source. So I wanted to bring this back to the board for us to have a discussion and see whether this board would be open to providing some sort of support for the library, whatever form that might look like. I'll go to the board. I have Commissioner Cruz.
Yeah, I'd like to see the numbers and the options. I think that's what we're moving towards right now, right? Is just to kind of bring something back. I mean, because saying stairs and air conditioner, it's like, is it? I mean, has anyone actually had an engineer out there to do a real study? We don't want to spend
Yes.
$350,000 and then go, oh, it was $1 million. Sorry. It's like now we're all stuck because now we got a really nice staircase with a falling down building. I mean, we need to know what the real costs are to move that forward. We also need to understand some of the options. Does it become a county library? Does it become their library? Does it become some sort of interlocal situation? Are we going to be paying the staffing and the operating expenses? If so, we need to factor that in. There's a lot of open questions. My short answer to my opinion on this is I'm for it. And the reason being is we have a lot of pockets in Manatee County, especially out on the islands. We say this about Lombo Key all the time, but there's no exception to Brady Beach, that pay a lot of property taxes, and they almost become donor property tax situations where they pay a lot more taxes than they get back, especially the municipalities that kind of cover a lot of the cost. So we always look for opportunities, whether it be the community center we were discussing with Town of Lombo Key, or even the roundabout for Lombo, where we can give some of those tax dollars back in good faith to make sure that our municipalities are, being taken care of by the county as well. We have few opportunities to do that. So I fully support this. I just think we need to have a better handle on what it is we're supporting. But when it comes back, I do like this library. I do like the idea of it. They do need a meeting space out there. They do need to have a sense of their own space out in Bradenton Beach. And this has been proven to be popular out there. So I fully support it. I think we need some more information, but I'm on your side on this one.
Agreed. Thank you, Commissioner. To answer some of your questions, the City of Bradenton Beach has performed inspections. They found the core structure to be in great condition. I don't know the formal term for that, but they had a building inspector look at the building. The core concrete structure is in good shape. Forgot to mention, it's probably in the writing, but the roof's been replaced recently. So they have their quotes. The city's obtained them. And conversation I had with the mayor and in that meeting was there's essentially some need for staff to have those conversations, but to have the direction to do that. So that's what the motion is today, is without any formal commitment to direct staff to negotiate with the city regarding a plan for our future contributions for that library, inclusive of all of the asks. So that would give us enough leeway to give staff enough leeway to determine the asks, get the formal quotes, determine whether there's operating funds or is it just capital? Is this one time? Is it ongoing? Does it become county? Is it stay city? All those things. So this will give them that open-ended direction to do that.
All right. Well, if you're not handing over the gavel, I'll make that motion now just to get a motion on the board so we can
Okay.
move
I'll
this
second it.
forward. All right.
Thank
So
you.
I'll make a motion to direct to staff to negotiate with the city of Bradenton Beach regarding a plan for Manatee. You took it off my screen. Direction to staff to negotiate with the city of Bradenton Beach regarding a plan for Manatee County government's future contributions to the needs and support of the Tingley
second.
Memorial Library.
Thank you, sir. That's a motion by Commissioner Cruz as presented, seconded by Commissioner Ron. Public comment. You can come on up. I don't have any speakers signed up, so. Just state your name, county of residence, you're good to go.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Debbie Skeshnochi. I'm the Vice Mayor of City of Bradenton Beach. I'm also a Manatee County resident. I just want to thank you for considering this. This is very important to us, our community. I have provided quotes, the recent quotes, and I'm happy to say it's much less than what was discussed in our previous meeting.
Nice.
So I'm very encouraged by that fact. And again, I just wanted to come up and say thank you. I have provided quotes to Charles Mader, Carrie Knight, and Molly White as part of our conversations. And so hopefully that information will be provided to you and we can move forward. And again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Anyone else for public comment? No one on the phones. I think there's a hand raised, Commissioner McCann.
Yeah, so what you're asking us for today is not to spend any money. It's just a fact-finding mission, right?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, no more hands raised. There's no motion, no one else on the board. There's a motion on the floor. You can cast your votes. And Commissioner McCann, how do you vote on this motion? Commissioner McCann?
For the fact-finding mission, absolutely no problem. I vote yay.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. It passes unanimously. Thank you all very much. Didn't even have to show up. Good to see you, Mayor. Good to see you, folks. Stephanie's a librarian, by the way, for the Tingley Library. She used to be a former Manatee County librarian, so. You know, we do need a new director for our library services. Alrighty. Well, thank you all very much for coming. It's great to see you folks. I'll get back to the normal order of things. So 42 is my item again. I'll pass the gavel after reading it. But for the past, since I got started, people in the immediate community, sure, why not? There we go. Pass the gavel to Vice Chair Ballard. So the community's been asking, immediate community around Northwest Bradenton, some of the adjacent HOAs, and people that live in Northwest Bradenton have been asking me to consider the history of the park and specifically the fact that the tennis courts used to be named the Bollettieri courts back in the day when people had more free use of the property before the school board started to regulating the access to the property more. And so with the investment that the county is making, along with partnership with the school board, the ask is to take this park from being some unnamed park next to King Middle Park and name it in honor of Nick Bollettieri, the tennis legend here in Manatee County. Now, the process is a little bit interesting. I talked to Cindy Spray, the board chair, and basically we would send a letter to their school board saying we support this action. They would vote on it. It's not as simple as we can print a sign and put it out there, so. That's the ask. Today's to authorize, let me look at the motion again. So the motion I would like to make is the motion as presented, the motion to approve a formal letter from the Board of County Commissioners to the chair of the Manatee County School Board requesting that the park generally located north of Martha B. King Middle School be named Nick Bollettieri Park, and to authorize the chair to sign and transmit said letter. That's a motion by myself, seconded by Commissioner Cruz.
All right. Commissioner McCann, how do you vote? Oh, yeah, we need public comment. Do we have any public comment in the room? Seeing no public comment in the room, I will move to the phones. Caller 605.
Andrew Griffin, Manatee County activist. I'm going to be a no on this too. I mean, Nick Bollettieri's been in this community since I was a kid. He had 3 courts out there on 75th Street. But Martha B. King, that's our history. That's our history in this county. King Middle School's the school I went to school with. This is a park I used to be in. I just, whatever. No, I'm a no. I'm a no. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Seeing no other hands raised, I will close public comment and we can make our votes. Commissioner McCann, how do you vote?
I vote yay. You got to go through the process. Go ahead.
All right. That passes unanimously. All right. So we will move on to item number 45. Item number 43. The termination of agreement number 23TA004640JE for federal lobbying services.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I've been reviewing this contract, like many other contracts, for about a year now. Consultation with staff felt that the value is not there for the amount of money we're putting in. And given the redistricting effort, which now that the governor signed it, puts us in competition with 5 other counties, while we're the largest, that is going to be a hit to member projects. We get 15 member projects. Not sure if that changes with a new congresswoman coming in or congressman person coming in, but as far as the total number of projects, but we're going to get less in terms of allocations through member projects. That's excluding whatever passes in the budget beyond the member projects. So that's a massive shift. Now we're competing with 5 other counties. We also are going to see a new congressperson come in to represent us. So that means we can't just rely on Congressman Buchanan to leverage his seniority and years of experience to easily get us money. So I think we'll have to be more intentional about federal lobbying services. I think we should revisit, at least today, provide the 30-day notice of termination without cause. So we just part on mutually beneficial terms, give staff the time to close out, obtain any deliverables as needed, and then should the board feel comfortable, put out an RFP, make it an open process to find a new partner. Not in a particular rush for that, but I think let's take this step by step, close out what we have, and let's find some ways to get more value out of federal lobbying services, because we'll have to put a lot of effort in the future for it.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Cruz?
Yeah, I was going to put this on the agenda a few months ago. Stephanie actually sent me their contract like in February or something like that. But then there was just a lot going on, and I just never got around to it. And I fully support this. I was going to do it last year, actually, and for various reasons we didn't. I'm of two minds on this. The first mind is, yeah, I don't think we're getting our money's worth on this particular contract, but I also not 100% sure we're getting our money's worth on any federal lobbying contract. State's a different story. Our state contract, one, is A, cheaper. B, we leverage them endlessly. I mean, we're constantly working with Amanda and Jeff on things, and they're getting us information and keeping us updated. And we have a lot more ability to interact at the state level. Federal level, they're tour guides that set up a couple of meetings. We've got a whole staff now that is building up relationships with FEMA and HUD and all the people we want to meet with. I believe we can probably do what we need to do at the federal level internally, or at least try it that way. And with, to your point, a new congressman, or congressperson, as well as potentially new members all surrounding us that we'd be talking to. I don't know how much appropriation we're going to really be getting. I don't think we've ever meaningfully moved a needle relative to policy up in DC. This just seems like a lot of extra money that's being utilized unnecessarily. And I said when we signed them that we're going to go from being the big fish in the small pond with Jocelyn, who I thought did an excellent job of getting us very unique stuff. They were bringing representatives out to dinners with us. That this was going to be the small fish in the big pond. And that happened. After the first time up there, we were just kind of shuffled along. And you can tell how little they care about our contract by the fact that not one of them are here advocating to keep their contract. Not one of them reached out to me, not even a text message.
Same.
To even say, hey, one of them, they literally have an office in Sarasota. Not one of them drove from Sarasota to be like, please, can I keep my contract with you? We promised to do better. They didn't care. They didn't care. I 100% agree. We should terminate this immediately, with or without cause. I don't care. Get rid of it.
All right. Commissioner Siddiq?
Thank you. Before I make the motion, just to clarify one thing, I do think federal lobbying is very distinct from state, especially for a county government. We're not going to affect policy. That's just the reality. There's big, unless you're a super PAC with hundreds of millions of dollars, you're not going to do that. But I will say, or a big special interest group, but I will say, from my experience through my own personal relationships with friends who worked in Capitol Hill, who've networked there, I went to school there, the two main things that you would focus on with the lobbyist, one, appropriations help. We're going to need it. When I did meet with the prior lobbyist, Jocelyn, not to say like you're going to get this contract, but just to learn more about her experience, right? And so a lot of the funding that's been received by this county has been through direct lobbying, by developing indirect relationships. So talking to members in far-flung places like Texas, California, to get funding through certain committees, like Transportation Committee, a few others, for things like the Diverging Diamond. That's an I-75 university. That was a design fund that the last lobbyist got us. That lobbyist used to work for the port. She's done a lot there. There's design funding. There's other funding that was secured through, this is with Hong, but she was also with the port for a while. But so the value proposition there being, our staff do a lot of work, but they're over-indexed with a lot of things that we're tasking them with. And I also don't want to grow or expand that team to focus on in-house lobbying. I think there's some value to having a smaller boutique firm that could work with us to build relationships or connect us with people. One of the other things that came out of my call with Jocelyn was the relationship side. So I wasn't on the board then. I know Commissioner Cruz was, but her work was integral in helping connect this board to Tunnel to Towers. And so that got them from looking at the city jail property for housing to now the property on 66th Street West. So it's not just about appropriations, but that should be the number one thing in a future agreement. But having relationships with other organizations, members of Congress who can refer us to other organizations for whatever need we might have. I'm looking at autonomous vehicles, for example, so our state lobbyist has been helpful. Not so much federal side, but trying to make the connection is important because we're a small county at the end of the day. Well, mid-size relative to others, but I still think it's valuable to have federal representation, if nothing else, than for the appropriations, and then certainly for building relationships and advocating on the things this board cares about, if not necessarily direct policy, which we could accomplish in part through NACO, maybe other firms as well, maybe other outlets as well. But today, I just want to start the process to terminate, so I would move to make the action request as presented in the document. There's a three-part motion. I won't read it, but I would ask the clerk to move that forward here.
Second.
Any other comments from board members?
Yeah, I had myself on. I got taken off. It's more just a quick follow-up to what Commissioner Sadiq, Chairman Sadiq said, relative to Tunnel Towers. It's a valid point. I mean, I don't mind having a lobbyist. I think lobbyists make sense. I think this is an egregiously bad contract for what we're getting. But I was a big fan when Jocelyn was our lobbyist because, like Tunnel Towers, for instance, I started cold calling around to find them through U.S. Vets, but the way that even that list started and the idea behind the VASH vouchers and how we can use them was we told her she would come down and be like, what do you need? And we said, this is something we want to focus on. This is something I want to focus on. When we got up to DC, she had a whole separate list of people just for me of the chair of Veteran Affairs Committee and all these other like head people. And it was a isolated list because she understood the needs that we had because she cared about the needs that we had and set up a whole set of meetings all over town. And I was running from meeting to meeting and talking to all these people and she was attending them with me. And that's how we found Tunnel to Towers. And that was somebody who actually cared about what their client needed and then put forth the effort to make sure that those needs were being met. I think you'll see that in a lot of boutique shops because then all of a sudden you become a little bit more important to them than just a check at the end of the day. So I'm fine with looking at another federal lobbyist, but I would strongly encourage us to look for another boutique thing, whether it be Jocelyn or, and again, I had a good relationship with her, so I'm fine if that's the direction we want to go back. But whomever it is, the boutique shops always, in my opinion, do better. And we see that at the state level. There's a lot of big lobbyists up there, and we're with a boutique shop, and they do amazing work for us.
Commissioner Sadiq?
Last thing, Madam Chair, and I'll close out. So staff have board records. Actually, I want to give you all a shout. I actually produced 20 years worth of records, 25 years going back to 2001. That's a lengthy list of agreements. And Charlie Hensicker might be the only person alive, maybe Charlie Bishop after him, that knows the full history. But because this is probably the last time I'll be able to speak on any federal lobbying until something comes up, I don't think we know what a good federal lobbyist is. And so I think that at least recently, that clouds what good service looks like. And so I think we're not getting the kind of things that we see from Johnson Stewart. And so that's perhaps affecting our thought process or minds on whether we should get a new lobbyist at the federal level. I would say in the future, beyond tightening up the deliverables, one of the things that I saw in a previous contract, I don't know from what year, might have been before 2019 or 18, but one of the things that the contract focused specifically on was it mentioned building relationships with appropriations committees and transportation committees. Those are the two call-outs that Hong and Associates had. I think we should revisit a structure like that, something similar as opposed to something open-ended. Other things I would press for, probably more in a contract at this point. Johnson Stewart kind of does this for us, but better briefings. Federal level is massive. I don't need a weekly or monthly or daily email on different things happening throughout the federal government, but perhaps something tailored to the relevant committees, transportation or approps. And then lastly, just better briefings. Like when I go in to see congressmen or members, I shouldn't have to Google what their accomplishments are and things, just basic stuff. We should be getting a briefing of every member briefly, a brief briefing on every member, but also relevant things that are pertinent to Manatee County, not just, hey, he is he's fighting for some issue that's unique in Nebraska or whatever, but something that's tailored, relevant to us, so we can have a good relationship meeting with them. I'd also advocate for us to have more meetings or at least conversations with committee staff. When I went up with NACO, we had very productive meetings about transportation reauthorization with the Senate. But there's 2 Senate committees on transportation, and then there's another one on the House side. So just a couple of my thoughts for staff if you do go out there and revisit something like this. And for the board, there's a lot of depth at the federal level, but it's easy to get lost if you don't know what to look for. So again, let's refine their deliverables, focus in on approach, transportation, other things. Let's make sure the next person, if we go down that path, certainly boutique, but can work with us on better briefings and meetings with committee staff as well. Thank you, Madam Chair. That's all I have.
Thank you. So we have a motion, a second, and I will open public comment. Is there anyone in the room who would like to provide public comment on this item? Seeing none, I will move to the phones. Caller 800.
Yeah, hi, David Daniels, Manatee County again. And again, I didn't plan on talking about this issue, but I agree 100% with Commissioner Cruz. I think if you go back, the contract with Ballard was even entered in for the wrong kind of political reasons, and like you said, we're the small fish in what they've got going on. So I agree with Commissioner Cruz. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I don't see any other hands raised. I will close public comment, and we can make our vote. Commissioner McCann, how do you vote?
No.
Okay.
You don't want to cancel the Ballard contract?
You don't want to cancel the Ballard contract, Commissioner McCann?
That's correct.
Just waiting on one.
All right. Everyone can cast their votes.
That was 5-1 McCann.
Oh, 5-1 with McCann in opposition. Sorry about that. All right. I will pass the gavel back to Commissioner Sadiq.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. All right, I'll close out with this item, Commissioner McCann's item number 45, the on-site visit and report from the University of Florida concerning the Bishop Kennels. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, what I would like is, they reached out to me. They said that they may be available in August. What I'd like is a specific date. I'd like that date published. And then, once the report is done, I would like the report published. So my motion today is instruct the staff to schedule an on-site visit by the University of Florida and publicize the date as soon as it is available. Require a full written unaltered report that will be released to the public for review as soon as that report is completed.
I'll second that. That's the motion as presented by Commissioner McCann, seconded by myself. Any public comment? Just as a reminder, state your name, county of residence. You have 3 minutes.
My name is Kathy Bridwell. I'm a Manatee County resident and a long-term volunteer at the shelter. As proposed by Commissioner McCann, I urge you to schedule an on-site visit by the University of Florida to review the new Bishop Animal Shelter. The problems presented to this board regarding the new shelter have not gone away. Instead, they've intensified. Manatee County recently posted this new athletic and aquatic center with pools and pickleball courts. Yet animal advocates are being repeatedly told by you that there's no money to build an appropriate shelter. It's imperative you figure out a way to do that because what you saddled us with is not working. We've noticed a significant increase in kennel stress since the move. Why? Almost all the dogs are spending their entire time in the outside kennels where there's no break from the heat and overstimulation of seeing the other dogs. We as humans become cranky when we're overheated. Dogs are no different. The risk of bites is increasing. Staff are worn out. The latest job description for staff include these working conditions: strenuous work in adverse weather conditions, extreme heat and humidity, long exposure to sunlight. All of this for pay that hovers just above minimum wage. The shelter's having a hard time attracting good help and will likely have an even harder time retaining the staff they already have. In all my 8 years as a volunteer, I have never seen staff having to work as hard as they do now. These are pictures of Blanca and Charlie, 2 senior dogs. Both were totally different dogs at Palmetto. Charlie used to cheerfully walk back to his kennel. Now he balks and has to be assisted to climb into his foot-high kennel. He sits at his kennel door and barks continuously. Blanca's reaction is similar. I've started bringing both of these dogs home for extended sleepovers to ease their suffering. Everything takes longer to do as a result of the dogs being housed in 8 kennel trailers. The interior hallways of the trailers are deemed so unsafe that only staff are allowed inside them. No longer can volunteers assist in cleaning the kennels, as we are not allowed in either the interior or exterior kennels due to safety concerns. In reality, these kennels are also unsafe for staff. Daily, I see staff dressed like they're going on a safari. Broad brim hats, large, heavy water bottles, rolled up sleeves, sunburned faces. How long can we expect them to maintain this pace? When a hurricane threatens this shelter, it will be forced to house the dogs in their tiny interior kennels, which are the size of a crate. Staff will lock down the shelter with the dogs trapped in those tiny spaces until the storm passes. In times past, this has often been for 24 hours, if not longer. Dogs will be sleeping in their own waste. The Animal Advisory Board, created in April, is not having its first meeting until June. This process should have been streamlined with an emergency meeting already scheduled. I urge you to take seriously the recommendations of that board. Please start planning now for a functional facility. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else in the room for public comment? Just a reminder, because this is a pretty broad public comment. We're just talking about the UF visit. So I will be chiming in if the conversation is going a little off topic. But you have board support. So anyone else in the room for public comment on this one? All right, I'll go to the phones. Caller 800. State your name, county of residence. You have 3 minutes.
Yeah, hi, David Daniels, Manatee County. I urge the board to approve this motion. Frankly, I'm not sure why it took public pressure to convince the county to request the first evaluation, which we learned after the fact was done via Zoom call that the county now claims was not even recorded, even though they produced a detailed written summary of that call. It's my hope that the University of Florida team will address some of the concerns of dog walking procedures that Kathy just mentioned. For example, as she said, volunteers are prohibited from going into the kennels for any reason, including stepping
David, do you have anything relevant to the UF visit, or is this going off? This is going off topic. I'll give you your time back, but do you have anything relevant to the UF visit discussion?
And I'm talking about what I hope the University of Florida will look at. I don't see how that's off topic. So I hope that they look at some of these procedures that include prohibiting volunteers from stepping into the kennels to even pick up dog poop. A 5-second job that can turn into much longer. You have to wait for staff to come and pick it up. If the dog happens to step in it and track it, plus that's a waste of staff resources. They have better things to do. Another thing I hope they address is that, like Kathy said, volunteers are prohibited from going inside the interior of the kennels. Again, this seems like a waste of experienced labor from taking care of, just basic chores. Another waste of staff resources. They have better things to do. Plus, if the volunteers are only outside all day, the dogs go where the people are. The dogs will be only outside all day. That includes in the summer. I also hope that the evaluators will suggest to the county best practices from other large commercial dog shelters that use these similar type kennels, these high-stress, exterior exposed, tightly packed kennels with narrow hallways. But I doubt there are any such shelters. And I hope from that an open-minded board will draw their own conclusions about the wisdom of purchasing these kind of kennels and the suitability of using these type of prefab kennels. At least, if nothing else, Manatee County will be an example of what not to do. And finally, as Kathy mentioned, I'm concerned that there's been no public information related to the Citizens Advisory Board. We were selected on April 7th, and the first meeting was announced 3 weeks ago, but there's been no public information. It's my understanding that the meeting is supposed to be made public along with the agenda. So I don't understand why the foot dragging. Thank you for your time.
All right, caller 697. Caller
Good
697.
afternoon, Dina. Good afternoon, Dina Sabo, Manatee County resident. I'm calling to encourage you to vote yes to Commissioner McCann's proposal to have U.S. come back. And I would like to suggest some items that we request that they weigh in on, because I think we need their professional direction. Regarding capacity of care, because of the spreading and the growth with placing the dogs in the 8 kennels, prefab buildings all around the property, it's been stated, I don't need to repeat it, the staff is working harder. There's a lot more ground to cover. Capacity of care is how many dogs that one person can take care of per hour. That has changed substantially since spreading out this project from Palmetto over to Bishop. At this time, I would ask that you consider, if this is the path we are going to stay on, that you increase the budget to allow for a substantial amount of staff to be hired to maintain the needs of the dogs at a municipal shelter level. I have very realistic expectations of what that looks like, but what is happening isn't even that. The staff is worn out. The volunteers that they counted on to help them with daily chores and cleaning up is no longer available to them because of, again, how this was laid out. So we need to focus on capacity of care. And in the interim, if that meeting cannot happen until August, then we have to wait for the preparations of their findings to be released. I would ask that you have a meeting, have a vote, that you put temporary staff in there now. I know that we have been advertising for 3 positions that are not filled. The dogs can't wait, neither can the staff. They need some relief now. So it would be a nice compromise if we could get some temporary staff in there in the interim while we are trying to figure out the best ways to move forward. Thank you for your consideration.
All right, thank you, ma'am. There's no other hands raised. Close public comment. Commissioner Cruz, then myself.
Yes, well, I'm not going to touch on every last little thing because I think we've touched on it the other 17 times. But I do just want to clarify things that people, like, you're asking us to please vote in favor of this. This isn't even really something that needs to be voted on. We'll all vote in favor of it because it's already happening before this showed up on our agenda. Like, we reached out. There's a lot of misinformation about a lot of things. If you focus on Facebook for all of your news, like, we reached out to University of Florida immediately upon the request to reach out to University of Florida by public request months and months ago. We do not own University of Florida. We do not control the staffing at University of Florida. University of Florida are very busy people, especially during school years, and they have limited resources. At that time, within a week of the first time, within days of the first time someone requested this, they told us, per their travel schedule, the earliest they could come here would be end of summer. That's what they told us months ago. So we had 2 options. Wait until the end of summer, having no feedback whatsoever from University of Florida, or do an interim Zoom call with them, which was better than nothing. Apparently, it was not better than nothing. We should have just told everybody, sorry, we didn't even reach out to University of Florida on this until August. But we sent them all the information. We sent them the site plans. We sent them the standard operating procedures and got the best feedback we can get in the time that University of Florida, an independent organization from us, was willing to afford us at that time. We've used some of those steps since then. And if you go out to Bishop, you see lots of things. I mean, I don't even know how much more money we're spending. All the shading out there, the extra fences that have gone out there, the bars on the bottom of all the yards so that the dogs can't push through. Everyone was saying they were actually digging under, which is not the case. What they were doing was pushing the bottom of the chain link fences out, and so we put separate bars there to prevent that. We've added second water spigots there. We added the, what do they call it, quick dry or whatever that stuff is, the True Grid, so that the walking areas in the back of it. All these are recommendations of University of Florida and recommendations of our volunteers, and we have been diligently working to do that. They're going to come in August, whether we make this vote or not, because that's what we already agreed for them to do. Any report they provide to us, by Florida law, is a public record. So you're going to have it in its entirety, and we cannot manipulate it, because again, then we violate Florida law. So this visit and this report and the release and public nature of this report, we're all going to happen with or without this vote. However, we will all vote for it. You fully have my support to vote to continue doing what we were already doing. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll just second the misinformation piece. I mean, David, you're on the committee. I think you should be truthful about email exchanges. I mean, you emailed me in April about the meeting date. So to say that you don't know or why the county's dragging their feet on meetings is patently untrue. The county can't just move this meeting up to May. There's meetings scheduled in advance, and so we're dedicating staff time. There's commissioner schedules to work on, so we can't just drop everything and move a meeting up to May. The meeting's been it's public. I mean, there's email exchanges about it. It's taking place in June. No one's hiding anything. It's just coordinating schedules. So to suggest anything otherwise is not fair and certainly not truthful. So staff are working with you and other members. I've not heard from anyone else about moving it up, but they're working with you to schedule the meeting in June. And I look forward to seeing what comes out of the discussion from that meeting. So until then, I would just recommend you reach out. Well, actually, you can't talk to one another at Sunshine, but just try and develop whatever solutions or ideas you can. Come to this board, that meeting, and then this board later prepared, because I don't think calling in with the same comment is really productive. I think we really want to see what this advisory committee comes up with, because it's made of volunteers and a lot of other people. So I welcome input from there as well. And as Commissioner Cruz says, this is going to happen anyways. So, all right, we have a motion for.
And real quick, I will just, because you mentioned something, I think this is relevant going forward, or just as a word to the wise. I don't think you've had your class yet, but technically ignorance is not an excuse for the law. Two of you who just called in are now on the exact same Sunshine Board. I'd be cognizant of the fact that you voluntarily asked to be a member of an advisory board that is now a Sunshine Board, and then therefore prohibits you from speaking to each other about anything associated with animal welfare or shelter outside of a publicly noticed meeting at the threat of ethics violations, which is inclusive of fines and potentially jail. Go ask the advisory board out on, was it Bradenton Beach? They all got busted. So just be cognizant of that. This is more of a friendly suggestion more than anything else, because you both called in on the same topic, which in theory is fine. But if you started going back and forth, and I know a couple of you have asked that I meet with a handful of you, and more than one of you are on the advisory board, so I cannot meet with more. I'm a liaison, so I can meet with one of you, but two of you in the same room outside of a notice meeting is going to cause problems. So just be aware of that.
Good clarification. Thank you. All right. So there's a motion by Commissioner McCann, seconded by myself. Commissioner McCann, how do you vote? Commissioner McCann? He's muted.
I vote yay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Votes are cast. All right, passes unanimously. Thank you very much. So I'll go ahead and open up public comments again. This is for any future agenda items not on today's agenda. Just come up, state your name, county of residence, and you have 3 minutes. If you've spoken already, you can't come up again. But anyone else? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. No, I didn't see anyone on the phone. Just looked at it. Thank you, though. Any comments from county attorney, county administrator, Commissioner Bearden? I have nothing. Commissioner Ballard?
Just briefly, Washington Park, we will have our ribbon cutting on May the 7th at 10 a.m. Please come out. It's going to be a great time. There will be barbecue and fun and a lot of excitement from the community.
Commissioner Ron?
I'm done, sir. Thank you.
Cruz?
No.
All right. We have a joint meeting with the Planning Commission tomorrow on transportation. So for all the people who call in land use meetings, I'm very excited to see all of you show up and talk about how we're going to solve transportation tomorrow. But just letting you know, that's a joint meeting. You can call in virtually. With that, take care. Oh, sorry. On the fifth floor, yes. Thank you.